Yeah, what's good, everyone? I know there's a lot of people going live right now, man. I guess this is the day to go live, man. It's like 4 or 5 channels going live right now, so didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but unfortunately, this is the only time I can go live. I got a lot of things to do throughout the day and night. But look, man, maybe some people will jump in as I go live on this topic. I don't plan on going live too long, so if you guys were watching somebody else and you want to jump back in, you guys will probably be able to do that. I just want to jump into this topic real quick, man. I've had some conversations behind the scenes with a few channels, some of which I went on their streams to talk about it. Other people hit me up in the DM. And now we have this footage that has been released by Showtime of Caleb Plant and Canelo having a conversation in the middle of the ring during the 9th round. So a lot of people have, DM'd me and said, yo, Devon, what do you think about this, bro? And so I want to give my thoughts about it because now that's like the next new thing that everybody's talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and strike while the kettle is hot. Shout out to my man Chavo TV in the building. First one to drop a comment. I appreciate you, the expert genius. Thanks for dropping by, bro. I know that Drew Titan also made a video about this, I believe earlier today. Him and I were actually talking about it behind the scenes a bit. We're both kind of shocked at the situation. There's a lot of speculation in regards to the fight may have been fixed. Caleb Plant was being respectful because he was losing the fight. I don't know, man, but there's a lot of different things being said. For those of you guys who haven't seen the footage which I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys. And like I said, I'll go ahead and give my thoughts, at least for the people that are joining live right now. And then for those who can't, it'll be uploaded on the channel later. Don, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by tonight. So let me go ahead and pull up that footage. I've seen it a few times, but I'll go ahead and give you guys my live reaction here. I'll go ahead and just pull it up. Just give me a second. I appreciate you guys dropping by. Make sure you hit that like button. You guys know the drill. Yeah, I know that there's a version of it that has subtitles. I don't know where that version is. I don't have time to go and try to find it. But nonetheless, I pretty much know what was said. Like 90%. of what was said in the ring. This is posted up by Showtime if you guys haven't seen it. They were the first ones to post it. A lot of people have reposted it with subtitles and given their commentary and what have you. But what I'll go ahead and do is I'll play the audio, try to listen in as closely as you can, and I'll give you guys my reaction.
Pretty good. Pretty good? Yeah, pretty good. It's a good fight right there. I like it. I respect your skills. I know. Pretty good for 21-0, huh?
Yeah, so definitely a very strange sequence there of conversation and a fight that, in my opinion, a lot of people don't agree, but in my opinion, was very competitive. Um, I, for the most part, thought that Plant was up on the scorecards leading up to the stoppage. I originally had him up 6-4, 6 rounds to 4. I've rewatched the fight a few times now, just to kind of take myself out of the heat of the moment, mute the commentary, because when I was going live commentating on the fight, I was listening to the commentary for the most part, and towards the end, I muted it because I just couldn't tolerate it. And I'm okay with. I think 6-4 seems about accurate of how I scored it, but anybody who has it like 5-5, a draw leading up to the stoppage, that I'm okay with that as well. There's a couple swing rounds in there, especially in the middle rounds, that can go either way. I feel like I can't have my mind changed when it comes to round 1 to 5. Like, I just don't see my mind being changed there. I just think that, yes, Canelo got some big, body shots in there, a couple left hooks in there, a chopping right hand a few times, but Caleb was working the jab up and down, countering from the shoulder roll, throwing the straight right hand down the pipe, and just doing more. You know what I mean? Just more active, and trying to score points. So that's where I have it fight wise. Now, the strange thing is that this little exchange that happened in the middle of the ring happened in the 9th round, right? Which is a round where even Canelo fans, a lot of them gave Caleb Plant this round. A lot of them did. I've talked to Canelo fans the past 24 hours, and even though they had him they had Canelo up, 8 rounds to 2 or 7 rounds to 3 or whatever it is, they gave Caleb Plant this 9th round, which is the round that you see here, where they're having this strange conversation, right? And I find that kind of, ironic perhaps, and definitely strange. My man Chavo says, I didn't think Caleb was losing the fight up to the 9th. Yeah. Plant was out of character for this fight. I've heard some disturbing stuff regarding Canelo and who he affiliated with. Is really think Plant was on a pay to lose. Plant was definitely outboxing Canelo. So let me go ahead and play it one more time for the people that are just joining, and I'll go ahead and give my initial thoughts on it. I'll play it one more time. It's just gonna loop in here, so bear with me.
Pretty good. Pretty good? Yeah, pretty good. It's a good fight right there. I like it. I respect your skills. I know. Pretty good for 21-0, huh?
All right. For me, I'm going to be honest with everyone. For me, it sounds like Plant was like humbled. It's just I don't know how to put my finger on it, man, but it's like he's in a tough fight and then he's trying to get some type of like affirmation or confirmation that he's on Canelo's level. So for those of you who couldn't hear the exchange, right? He says, "You're a pretty good fighter. Am I a pretty good fighter too?" And Canelo said, "Yeah." And then he said, "I respect your." Plant said to Canelo, "I respect your skills." And Canelo said, "Yeah, I know." And then Plant goes on to say, "Oh, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right?" So for me, especially that last question, like, "Oh, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right?" For me, that's asking for affirmation. That's like, yeah, so you affirm that I'm pretty good, right? It's almost like he's doubting himself and perhaps he knew or he just realized that Canelo's much tougher than what he thought. Now, boxing has a way to humble people. I mean, that's fact. That's reality. If you ever boxed before and been punched in the face, it's much different looking out from the outside, right? When you actually get in there, I've been a victim of that. I've like underestimated guys based off of their appearance or things that I've heard about them. But you get in the ring, then all of a sudden you're like, ah, shit, okay. You know, that happens. And we're talking about the elites level here. Now, I understand where people are kind of leaning towards, well, maybe this is like a conversation of Plant, like it was all staged, like it's all planned, and Plant was saying these type of things, kind of like confirming, like, yeah, it's a pretty good fight. So we did what we had to do, right? We everything's cool, right? So yeah, I understand why people could feel that way because it is a very strange exchange. At the end of the day, it's very, very strange. Now, do boxers talk in the middle of fights all the time? Roy Jones used to talk all the time. I remember something that was leaked when Andre Ward had a fight. I don't remember who it was, but he was like talking to his opponent. But normally, and Mayweather used to talk a lot too. Mayweather used to talk to the commentators ringside. He used to answer questions of commentators like as he's in the middle of a fight. Now, what's unique here is when this guy, whoever took this video, I don't know who took it, but he's like he's right under the ropes, like he's on top of the ring, and you can hear the audio, and you can actually there's like it's like an outside noise, but in the ring itself, it's not as loud as what you would think it would be, right? So fighters can have conversations, and a lot of times fighters can hear what the commentators are saying. It's not as loud in the ring as what people think that it is. And this is like confirmation of that with this guy filming, right? So this like sequence here, nobody's really throwing punches and they're having like a full-blown conversation. And this is going on for like 10 seconds. Okay? So again, for those of you just joining, I appreciate you for dropping by. Make sure you hit that like button. So my initial reaction, yes, it's not like I know for a fact or this is a certainty of what was said and how it's supposed to be perceived or nothing like. This is my initial right off the top reaction to what I'm hearing in my headphones of this exchange. It's Plant initiating the conversation, Canelo giving a few little answers, and Plant looking for affirmation. Like, I'm a good enough opponent for you, right? Like, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? To me, that's a sign of a guy basically submitting. That's a guy saying the fight was much tougher than I thought, but I'm pretty good, right? Like you respect me, right? So that's my initial thoughts. Now, does that necessarily mean that corruption in boxing doesn't exist and fights haven't been thrown, or the possibility of money being put under the table? Or I don't take anything off the table. You can't. And a lot of people that say, "Oh, don't beat the drum of corruption." Well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's been around since the dawn of time, since boxing has been a spectator sport. Isaiah B was good. Deanna Branch in the building. Ed Rock was good. Eye to eye. What's up? Appreciate you guys stopping by. Make sure you guys hit that like button as you guys come in. I'm giving my initial thoughts. Tony Forrester was good, bro. Yave was good, man. Andrew Charles, I see you. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, so I'm giving my initial thoughts of this exchange, okay? And you guys know I'm going to keep it 100 every time. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm not going to beat around the bush and feed into narratives and speculate or none of that shit. I don't do that over here. I'm just going to be authentic. That's why it's Divine Sense Boxing. Raw, uncut, authentic boxing talk. That's how we keep it. Now, I'm going to keep my ears open and my eyes open and keep my head on a swivel and hear what other people are saying. If there becomes a strong narrative to suggest that this exchange equals possible corruption or a fight being, thrown, or Caleb took a dive, or it was all planned, or whatever the case may be, then I'll look into it and I'll speak about it. But as of right now, this exchange tells me, based off of the words that were spoken, and let me repeat, Caleb saying, "You're pretty good. I'm pretty good too, right?" Canelo says, "Yeah." And then Caleb Plant says, "I respect your skills." Canelo says, "Yeah, I know." And then Caleb Plant says, "I'm pretty good for 21-0, right?" Off the top of my head, what does that say? That says that Caleb Plant is submitting. And you guys know that I've been supporting Plant. I wanted Plant to win. And the last thing that I want to do is come in here on the mic on YouTube that is open to the public and Caleb Plant can be listening to this shit. I don't know. And the last thing I want to do is discredit this man and what he did this past Saturday night, because I thought he did a pretty damn good job. I think that a lot of people are discrediting him, and I'm proud of him. But based off of what I see right here and listening, it is what it is. That's my position as of right now. Somebody has to change my mind with fact, not, "Oh, I think this," or "I feel that." That is emotion. That is feeling. That's your opinion against my opinion. You got to bring facts against opinion. So, yeah, Caleb, if you're listening, bro, like, there weren't very many channels rooting for you, bro. At the end of the day, you were the underdog. It is what it is. But I am one of those, man. I was pulling for you, and I was on a guy's channel out here yesterday, and they were thrashing Caleb Plant. He got destroyed. He got beat up. He was losing every round like crazy shit. And you know me, good old Divine Sense Boxing. I don't tolerate that shit. I don't tolerate people trying to dismantle and discredit the sweet science and saying that one power punch outdoes 15 jabs landed. I don't play that shit. And I will cruise around like a vigilante, like a fucking rogue warrior on YouTube, because I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you. I go outside of the gates and I hunt these channels down and I come in there and I speak that knowledge. And yeah, 6-on-1, 7-on-1. This dude had like 10 people on the panel. It was like 9 against 1. I stand my ground, right? But at the same time, when I hear this type of stuff, I'm like, what's this? What's this? And here's the thing. I want to say this too. I want to make it crystal clear for everybody. I want to make it crystal clear. I have no problem with Plant actually saying it. It's not like, oh, he's a coward or whatever. I'm not saying that. Okay, so everybody coming in here, oh, nah, man, Divine, he's shitting on Plant now. No. I have no problem with him saying, hey, man, shit, you're pretty good, bro. Like, you think I'm good too? Cool. Like, all right. I don't have a problem with that. It's kind of like you do that in a sparring match, though, to be honest with you. That's the kind of shit you say in a sparring match. So, but in a real fight, do I expect that? Not really. Am I clowning Plant? No, I'm not. He's in a fight and he probably thought, oh shit, Canelo's pretty damn good, and he said what he said. I don't have a problem with it. But here's the thing, though. This is why people are scratching their head. This is why people are like, damn, like he's gonna talk to Canelo like that. Why? Because Plant called him a drug cheat. Plant tried to bitch slap him at a press conference. Plant was talking a lot of shit leading up to the fight, and I supported it. I'm like, yeah, give it to Canelo. Somebody's actually finally standing up to him. But then you get in the fight, and I'm telling people, man, boxing has a way to humble you. Boxing has a way to humble you. And I don't know if this is a case where he just got humbled and now he's giving his accolades and then hoping to get accolades in return and trying to get affirmation that, oh, I hope he respects my skills too. But like I said, that's usually something that is said in a sparring match, not in the undisputed super middleweight championship bout. And going back to my point of boxers talking in the ring, that happens all the time. For sure. It happens all the time. But normally you talking shit. Like Floyd, he be talking shit. You're too slow. And we're talking about a Caleb Plant. Yo, we're talking about a Caleb Plant who has fought people, right? He be ducking, slipping, sliding, and he'll be like looking over to the right. He'll make a dude miss and look over like that. He'll like wipe his beard off, wipe his hair off, and clown dudes in the ring. That's Caleb Plant, man. That's who he is. That's his persona, right? That shit's entertaining. Roy Jones used to do that shit. I got no problem with that. But that's the type of dude that we're talking about here. But then you go up against a guy, you go up against a pound for pound. So, really, it's up to you for you guys to decide. I'm not here to make you think anything. I'm giving you my opinion. But it's basically one or two things. It's one or the other, right? It's two things, one or the other. One, he got humbled. It is what it is. He got humbled and he's like, yo, you're a pretty good fighter. Do you think I'm good too? Cool. Like, all right. I respect your skills. I'm pretty good, right? For 21-0, and he got humbled and they had an exchange. It is what it is. Or there's some more like sinister shit going on. Like some stage shit going on. Like some things that we don't want to believe could be true. And they're having this exchange because it's all part of the plan. And, they're actually like buddies behind the scenes. They actually like each other behind the scenes and or some shit. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. So Yave, exactly. Muhammad Ali talked all the time, but to discourage his opponent, not compliments. And again, we're talking about a guy who has clowned his opponents in the ring. He's clowned them when they miss and shit like that. Yeah. Caleb, how's your day going? Oh, pretty good. Dude, did you see the new? I mean, it's like they're like buddies. It's like a sparring match. Now, another thing that kind of strikes me as odd is like, okay, I look at the knockout, right? That knockdown is pretty real. I mean, he got hit with the flush left hook. He went down, he started leaning, and then he got hit with the uppercut, right? Like, I can't say that knockdown was fake. That's pretty damn hard to fake. That shit was pretty nasty. He took it. Now, him running across the ring the way he did was a bit odd, but that could be inexperience. You know, like Plant's never been in that position before, and people do weird shit when they've never experienced something before, right? He should have taken his 8 count, you know what I mean, and get his legs back. I don't think running across the ring helped him one bit. And then the second knockdown, I don't think he was the second knockdown. He didn't have his legs. I didn't think he got hit with a big shot. Really, I mean, he at one point he was kind of like trying to get away from Canelo. Canelo threw a big left hook and he ducked up underneath it. Canelo actually missed that left hook, and then he hit him with that right hand as he was leaning again. But he actually partially blocked it with his glove. But I don't think he had his legs. I don't think it wasn't a punch that knocked him out cold. That's what I'm trying to say. And then he tried to get up, but Russell Mora called it. So my point is that the knockout itself didn't look staged as far as like Plant just took a dive. Like, you know, he blocked the punch and just went down, and then the fight's over. That's not what happened, right? He got hit flush, especially that first knockdown. He was definitely hurt. So if you're gonna make a claim that the fight was perhaps staged, then we need to find the pieces of the puzzle and put it together. As much as I want Plant, or as much as I wanted Plant to win, as much as I like Plant as a fighter, his skill, his story, and etc., saying that a fight is rigged or staged is a very extreme accusation. And we got to find the pieces that prove that and put it together. Similar to what we did, or what I did, when I did the film study of Fury Wilder, the second fight. But, you know, as of right now, I see an exchange where it seems like, you know, there's no bad blood, and you know, Caleb was like, "Hey man, you're pretty good, and hope that you think I'm good too." I'm gonna scroll up, man. I know you guys been commenting and stuff like that. I apologize if I can't get to all the comments. Highlighting the comment really helps a lot if you're able to do it. I saw one comment that caught my eye. Yeah, this was earlier where I was saying where I went to somebody else's channel. Has no order and pure stupidity. Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't even know who the guy was. I didn't even know who the hell he was. I was like just cruising around YouTube. Like I said, man, I'm like a vigilante out here. I just run around YouTube streets, knocking on doors. What's good? Because like I said, I'm not going to allow, you know what I'm saying, people to discredit the sweet science like people are doing. And I saw the title of the video and I was like, what's up? And it was full of Canelo fans. But that's just me. A lot of people won't do that. But that's just me, man. That's how I get down, bro. It's like me going to a basketball court and it's just a bunch of ballers out there. It's like, what's up? I got next. And people are like, what? Who's this dude, man? But that's how I get down, man, in these streets, bro. Fuck that. A lot of people, like, no disrespect to anybody, man, but a lot of people get all upset, hooting and hollering on the mic and shit about this, that, or whatever. But So, like what? Tell the people how you really feel. That's just my opinion. People can operate the way they want to operate. That's just how I operate. Jay Boomin, what's good? He says that's mentally giving up. He was being too casual after that, waiting for the last rounds to finish. Canelo was trying to take his head off. Yeah, and you can see, like, Plan is like bouncing around. There's no punches being thrown, and Canelo's tracking. It's like Canelo's like, you can keep talking, bro, but I'm gonna punch you in the face. That's what it looked like to me. Let me know if you guys think something else. Ed Rock says, please, Hall of Fame based on what? What is Canelo's legacy fight? A loss to Floyd. I'm not even talking about. I'm not even getting into that. I'm just saying that as a professional, he had more experience than Caleb Plant. You can't argue that. I mean, it is what it is. Now, Hall of Fame, all-time great. Now that's debatable. That is debatable. A lot of people don't think it's debatable, but I think it's debatable. Deanna saying the post-fight talk was sus, way too friendly and way too long. I'm going to talk. Thank you for mentioning that, Deanna. That's another thing. I know the thumbnail was actually them two embracing after the fight because I couldn't find a thumbnail of the 9th round exchange. But yeah, Tony Forrester says Plant looked like he tripped up and didn't have his legs on first one. That's why he ran across the ring. He was about to fall. To me, being completely honest, I felt that he had never been in that situation before, knocked down like that, and I feel like he was a bit embarrassed, So he's trying to play it off like he popped up like it's all good, but he thought that I'm just going to go skipping around the ring to kind of play it off as if I'm not really hurt. But he realized that mentally he might have been okay, but he didn't have his legs. He went running, and he was like doing the stinky leg as he was running. He like fell into the turnbuckle on the opposite side of the ring, which could have been a factor of why Russell Mora was like, all right, if he gets knocked down again, I'm calling it. But that's inexperience, people. That's inexperience. You didn't see Fury doing that shit. Although I think the count is suspect. I'll be the first one to admit it, especially the second knockdown in the 4th round when Russell Mora stopped the count. But Fury is a veteran. You know what he played it to the last second. He gave himself every second to recover. He did that in the first fight too, when he got knocked down in the 12th round. He waited. He's looking at Jack Reese, and Fury's thinking to himself, if they're going to count for me, I'm just going to lay here. I ain't moving until I got to. But that's experience. Something that Caleb Plant doesn't have yet. But he learned. He learned. And I promise you, he will be back and he will get better from this. He will. Ed Rock says, look at the video, Divine Sense. It's showing that was clearly a scripted dance. And Caleb said too much. Canelo replied respectfully. So I'm having a tough time understanding why you think that staged just because or scripted, as you said, because Caleb said too much and Canelo replied respectfully. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make the connection here. I'm not discrediting your opinion. I'm just trying to make the connection here. Counterpunch is your favorite. LOL. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, bro. I don't know if that's to me or someone else in the chat. Deanna Branch in that super chat, I appreciate you. She says, how do you feel about that really long, super acquainted post-fight talk? A little sus to me. Too acquainted? ? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. And thank you so much for the super chat, Deanna, as always. A big supporter of the channel and always putting in those comments and showing love. Much appreciation for you. Hustler Slim, facts on facts. I appreciate you. I saw your reaction. You were pissed. Mora called Caleb off. Yeah, I was. I was. I was. And I know that's the minority thought. I know I'm a very, how do I put that? It's kind of like an oxymoron, but I'm like the major minority in that. Even Caleb Plant fans think that the stoppage was right. It was a good stoppage. In the moment, I didn't like it because I'm thinking Russell Mora. I'm thinking Fury Wilder, 5 knockdowns in the fight. I'm thinking giving both Wilder and Fury an 8 count when they both got knocked down 2 times each. It was the final knockdown that he finally called it off against Wilder. But in my head, that's what I'm thinking. Championship bout, undisputed. You don't even attempt to pick up the count. As soon as he hits the canvas, it's like you're prepared. You told yourself, if he goes down again, I'm calling it. And people are saying, oh, but he was hurt, and oh, his legs went through the rope. I've heard it all. But I keep my stance, man. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. It's not the stoppage itself per se. It's the inconsistencies of Russell Mora. Nobody wants to talk about Russell Mora. Nobody wants to talk about him. Everyone, they just conveniently forget the fact that 10 years ago, he let a fighter punch another fighter in the balls 25 times. I counted it and never took a point away. But it's okay. Divine Sense, he's tripping. Divine, man, this guy, Divine Sense, man, he's tripping. He's always tripping about shit, making excuses. Okay. I guess we're cool with a fighter hitting another fighter in the balls then. That's cool then, shit. We don't need a boxing ring. We don't need judges. We don't need a referee or nothing. From now on, all these prior fighters would go out in the street and anything goes. Pick up a fucking rock and smash them upside the head, whatever the case may be. Okay, cool. I'm not even upset about why would I be upset about the result when I picked Canelo to win the fight? Not only because I thought that if it went to a decision, Caleb Plant's not going to win anyway. He's not going to win anyway. Period. Even if Plant Floyd Mayweathered his ass for 12 rounds, he still wasn't going to get the victory. Period. So why would I pick Plant to win the fight other than if you picked him, you thought that he was going to stop Canelo. He was going to knock him out. I was rooting for Plant, but if I'm going to put a prediction down with my reputation on the line, I'm going to go for Canelo, and that's exactly what I did. And that's why I'm 5-1 when it comes to predictions. I'm going to go ahead and play this one more time for those who just joined in. Tell me what you guys think, man. You guys are in the chat. What do you guys think about this exchange? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Let me know.
Pretty good for 21-0, huh?
All right, here we go.
You're pretty good.
You're pretty good.
Pretty good? Yeah.
Am I pretty good? Yeah.
This is a good fight right there.
This is a good fight.
I respect your skills.
I respect your skills. I know.
Pretty good for 21-0, huh?
I'm pretty good for 21-0, huh? And right after that, as soon as he says, I'm 21-0, or I'm pretty good for 21-0, Canelo like jumps in with the left hook and tries to knock his head off. So, I mean, tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys feel. Don't like let me just sit up here on my soapbox. I mean, this is exactly why I go live. I mean, I could have made a video about it, just made an upload and just, try to get clicks. People accuse me of doing clickbait all the time. But, this is why I'm going live. So people in the comment section and tell me what you think. So when other people come on here to watch this video, they can see what the live chat is saying. So that's this exchange, right? So that's that. That's that. And let me know what you guys feel, what you think, what you see. I've already pointed out, if you just joined in, for me, it looks like for me right off the bat, it looks like Caleb Plant is basically submitting to the fact that it was a tough fight, and he's looking for affirmation from Canelo that he's a good fighter. He wants to make sure that Canelo thinks he's a good fighter. That's what it seems like to me, and that's not throwing shade at Caleb. If Caleb or his team is listening to this, I love Caleb Plant to death. I love his story, but that's just what I feel. And if it's not that, like I said, then it's simply this is all staged, it's rigged, it's choreographed, this was all planned. Like I said, they were actually friends this whole time, and they were playing us all. They were playing the boxing fans, and the whole knockout was planned. It was just a matter of time. Even though I felt like the knockdown / knockout looked real to me personally. It didn't look like Plant just died. He took a dive. I've heard a lot of people say, like, yo, but Divine, like, Plant never really let his hands go. He never really sat down on his punches, this, that, and whatever. Well, I guess I can somewhat agree to that. I would have liked to seen him sit down on his punches more. But at the same time, that's not really. Have we seen him punch harder? Yes. Have we seen him be more confident? Yes. But it's not really his style. He doesn't try to like knock dudes out. He styles them. He outpoints them. And if he catches somebody like he did Usataki with something that he didn't see and drops him, then, cool. But that's not his style. It is Canelo's style to walk down opponents and hit him to the body, break him down, and try to knock him out. That is Canelo's style. That's why he's a fan favorite. Because most fans like to watch boxing as a blood sport. Okay? But Caleb Plant's style is not, he's a boxer. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, I would have liked to see him, do some more and try to hurt him. And he did have opportunities. He had opportunities where Canelo was standing in front of him with his gloves up, and he could have at least thrown some combinations with some intent behind it, and he didn't. Which I don't remember what round it was where Canelo was against the ropes with his hands up, and Plant was just standing in front of him looking at him for like almost 10 seconds. That was weird. I mean, but it's like, what do you call that? Is he scared? He doesn't even want to get countered. That's what the Canelo fans will say. Or is it like, oh, this is a round where we agreed not to go hard on each other, or I won't punch you too hard? Maybe there's an agreement somewhere where they said only Canelo can hit hard. Plant, don't hit too hard. Just box. Make it look good. Make it look real. Just box. But don't hit him too hard. And Canelo will, he's going to hit you real hard, though, towards the later rounds. So be ready for it. Are we throwing that out there as a possibility? Let me know. Because to me, that's all it was. That's all that's on the table right now. Either Caleb Plant was doing well, doing what he could. I had him winning 6 out of the 10 rounds before the stoppage, and then he got caught. And he got stopped. This exchange in the 9th round is something that just some weird shit happened, and Caleb was giving credit to Canelo, looking for credit in return or affirmation in return that he's a good fighter too. Or it's all a setup, it's all plans. Caleb got his payday, and Canelo got his undisputed, and it's all there to make Canelo look good. Let me know in the chat. And so for anybody thinking, see, Devon, man, you keep the door open for controversy. See, Devon, I know what you guys are thinking. I know what you Canelo fans are thinking. You're gonna start accusing me of leaving the door open for controversy, as if fights have never been staged before. But besides that, people have the right to use critical thinking skills. For all you people saying that, oh, it's impossible. It's impossible. Don't be crazy. Don't feed into that narrative. Canelo's just better. He's just better, just better. You're forcing people to believe that narrative when, in fact, boxing has been corrupt since the dawn of time as being a spectator sport. That is facts. Go look up some stuff when it comes to Jack Johnson. Go look up some stuff when it comes to Jack Dempsey. Don't make me go into the history of the sport. If the powers to be wants a fighter to win bad enough, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not suggesting that's what it is. Personally, I'm allowing people to think for themselves by the footage, right? I'm saying, okay, for the record, listen to me carefully. Let me use my hypnosis on people. Listen to me carefully, Canelo fans, because I know you're getting upset. Your blood is boiling because I don't give Canelo enough credit. You son of a bitch, this divine sense. I had Caleb Plant outboxing Canelo 6 out of the 4. If you want to say 5-5, cool. Plant got caught. He got stopped. End of the story. Congratulations, Canelo. Is that enough for you? Sorry, I won't ride his nutsack like you. That is my stance. As far as this exchange that is happening in the 9th round, my position is, as of right now, it looks suspect in part of Caleb, a guy who was talking a lot of shit leading up to the fight. And then all of a sudden, hey, I'm a pretty good fighter, right, Canelo? It is what it is. Y'all can think what you want to think. Stormy B, man, the building. Yeah, hit me with the email. You know I'll get back to you, bro. I always reply my emails, man. Hit me up. So another thing that I want to share here is this. Let me get up out of here. Is this picture up on the screen? So a lot of people have been asking me about this too. My thoughts on the after the fight, embrace and exchange of words. Well, let me be clear. Let me be clear. I have no problem with fighters coming together after a hard fight and they put all they can into it. And, when you've been in the ring before, you have this utmost respects for the sport. It is, in my opinion, the toughest sport in the world. Period. And the MMA guys and the UFC guys will try to debate me on it, and we can go back and forth. But my opinion is boxing is the most difficult sport in the world. And boxing has the ability to humble your ass real quick, win or lose. And that means Canelo having his hand raised. There's a bit of humility for Canelo as well. It wasn't an easy fight for Canelo. Even if the fucking fight was rigged, it still wasn't easy. And if it was rigged, that makes Canelo look even worse. But I won't go down that road. I'm going to call it for what it is and not speak corruption and stage fights into existence. I know I'm getting pulled in that direction because that's what people are suggesting not Divine Sense, are suggesting, but not speaking that into existence. It wasn't an easy fight. And Canelo, as the winner, as the new undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, was humbled as well. That's what boxing does, win or lose or draw. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, put some gloves on, go to your local gym, and find out. So, boxing has a way to humble people, and I have no problem with men going into the middle of the ring after a hard, tough fight and embracing as men and saying, hey, man, I respect you respect me. Let bygones be bygones, and it's done. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Plant saying to Canelo, hey, man, me saying mother effer or whatever, like, you took it the wrong way. I didn't mean it that way. It's just language. You know what I'm saying? I'm hyping up the fight, and I lost my mother and stuff like that. So I don't want to disrespect your mother. It's just language, right? I don't got a problem with that. But the fight's done now. The fight's done. You know what I'm saying? And fighters do this all the time. Look at all that shit that Mayweather and McGregor was talking before their fight. Like, that press conference was insane. He's like rubbing Floyd's head and shit, and they're like going back and forth talking about. I mean, it was craziness. But after the fight, what happened? Hug and, oh, hey man, we made a lot of money together. Y'all remember that post fight press conference of Mayweather McGregor? They're having a great time. Oh shit, man, look all the money we made. Ha ha ha. Look, man, this shit happens all the time. I don't have a problem with these two men coming together. And Plant saying, I apologize for calling you this, that, because it may have been misinterpreted. And that's probably true. I mean, yes, Canelo was the one who started calling people that. That's the issue, right? Because he called Andre that shit at his own press conference. He said, get the fuck out of here, motherfucker or whatever, right? So he actually started it. But I'm a person who speaks 4 languages, okay? And when you speak that many languages, you can say things that may be interpreted in a different way depending on the language and etc. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. And there might be a lot of people say, oh, come on, Divine, he knows what he's saying. Well, I mean, maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't. But if that's the case, then Caleb Plant, he deserves to be able to apologize and say, look, man, it's just language. It's how we talk. That's how we talk that's how I talk to my boys. We go to the boxing gym. That's how we talk, man. Don't take it the wrong way. I lost my mother, and I wouldn't want to disrespect your mother. That's probably what he said. I don't got a problem with that. It's left in the ring. It's done. What I do have a problem with, though, is this exchange in the 9th round where it's like, what I want to hear in my headphones is Plant talking shit. That's what I want to hear. Like, he should be saying, oh, you thought I was easy, right? You thought this was going to be easy, right? You thought I wasn't shit, right? Yeah. Take that jab to the face. Pop. Yeah, you like that? Pop. Yeah, I'm too fast, huh? I'm too fast for you. That's what I want to hear. Not, hey, man, you're pretty good. Do you think I'm good too? Yeah, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? Come on, guys. Come on. Deanna Branch back in that super chat. She says Caleb was winning 7-3. He could have definitely beat Canelo. That's why, after seeing all of this in the post fight, I do now think something ain't right. So look, like I said, people, y'all free to think what you want. That's the whole point of Divine Sense Boxing. Open conversation and topics. And thank you, Deanna, for that super chat. You know, it's always love and appreciation. So, look, I understand, man. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert of the history of the sport, but I would say I'm better than average. And I would say that because of my knowledge, I would tell you right now the idea of fights being fixed or fights being staged isn't impossible. It's not likely, but it's not impossible. But at the same time, if you're going to make those claims, then you got to do it all. You got to do it all across the board, right? You got to say everything. The press conference was rigged. The whole thing was staged. The hype was staged. The knockdown was also staged. So that means that Caleb Plant would have to agree during the let's stage it process, during the formulation of staging this shit. He would have to say, oh, yeah, around 10 or 11, you can just punch me in the face as hard as you can. So we got to make it look real. So he's got to agree to get hurt, right? Because to me, it didn't look like he just, like I said, it looked like he blocked it and just dived down on the floor and didn't get up, right? So you have, if it's staged, it's got to be across the board. You can't just base it off of some weird like exchange they had in the 9th round. You can't. You just can't do that because it's a very serious allegation, an accusation to make for a sport that I love. You know, like I don't want this to happen. I don't want like a month later they say breaking news: the Canelo and Plant fight was actually staged. I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? But if there's evidence to prove it, then yeah. Then obviously Canelo and his whole team needs to be banished from the sport for life. If it comes out to be truth. My man Willie says fights aren't fixed, but some fights aren't real. Bro, I'm at the point. The only fights I want to watch are Wilder and Tank because I think this just pissed me off. Well, let me switch gears for a moment. Let me switch gears for a moment and say this. It's getting to the point. This is my bigger complaint because when it comes to the conversation that was said in the 9th round, we can go back and forth all day long. It was staged. It was rigged. It was scripted. Caleb, submitting to Canelo, and it's not a good look for Caleb. We can go back and forth about it, right? It's speculative. I saw Drew Titan's video. He said, I'm confused. Let me know what you think. And that's what it is. That's literally what it is. I'm confused. Let me know what you think. But let me tell you guys a bigger issue. Let me tell you guys a bigger issue. It seems to me that there is a shift in boxing where the sweet science, or let me be more specific, the pure boxer is now being underlooked, discredited, and no longer appreciated in the sport of boxing. And if you want to win a fight nowadays, you just got to knock people out. Jabs don't count anymore, apparently, according to a lot of Canelo fans. Jabs don't count. Jabs don't matter. Oh, because it's not a power jab. You gotta throw a power jab. You gotta like snap his head back every time you throw the jab. So apparently that doesn't matter. Apparently defense doesn't matter. Apparently just because you throw a big hard body shot. Apparently if you throw 5 power shots in a round and they sound really hard and it looks good, then that fighter should get the nod of the round. That's the shift that I see happening in the sport of boxing now. And when it comes to Canelo, I honestly believe that you cannot outbox him and win a decision. What happened between him and Mayweather, that's the last time you'll ever see that. And the only reason why, because people might be thinking, oh, yeah, but what about Usyk Joshua? Usyk outboxed Joshua. Yeah, but Joshua looked terrible. Joshua looked terrible. The thing is Canelo doesn't look terrible. He doesn't. I mean, Caleb was doing his thing because he's slick and he's quick, and he was trying to figure plan out, but he wasn't looking terrible. Joshua was looking terrible. The judges had no choice to give it to Usyk. They just have no fucking choice. Looked terrible. And Usyk was piecing his ass up, snapping his head back and shit. Did Caleb Plant put on a performance like Usyk did against Joshua? No. But he sure as hell wasn't getting beat up and everything that people were suggesting he was in the fight. I just don't agree with it. We can disagree on that shit all day long. But my point is that boxing seems to be a shift, right? And I'll give you an example. Rigondeaux, Casimiro, Michael Fox, Charlo and Castaño. I mean, that's three right there off the top of my head that were wrong decisions and, in my opinion, robberies. So it seems to me that the sure way to win a fight nowadays is you got to be like Benavidez. You don't worry about defense. You don't worry about being slick. You don't worry about working behind the jab. Just walk in, throw big power shots, and knock guys out. Try to knock guys out. And obviously, for me personally, that doesn't make boxing interesting anymore. I'm not interested in that shit. Since day one I came on YouTube, 2009, my very first video, I've been praising the boxer style. And I ain't about to go backwards now. My own style. When I fought when I was younger, and the style that I still have when I go into the gym and do some sparring and hit the bag or whatever the case may be, is a boxer style. And my question that I always have for people is, which is harder? Which is harder to do athletically? Athletically, which means you got to be gifted. Which one is harder? A slick defensive boxing style where you're moving and you're jabbing and you're setting up your punches and you're not getting hit. Or put my hands up, come forward, and throw big heavy shots and try to knock a guy out. There's a reason why Sugar Ray Robinson beat Jake LaMotta's ass 3 out of 4. There's a reason why Sugar Ray Robinson beat Gene Fullmer in their trilogy. There's a reason why Sugar Ray Robinson beat all of these tough, hard-nosed, come-forward fighters. Because he had more skill. He had more boxing skill. He moved out of the way. He set up with the jab. And yeah, he had power that a lot of these other boxers don't have. But at the end of the day, Sugar Ray Robinson was a boxer. One of his kind. During a time in the 40s and 50s where you didn't see a lot of that. And people were mesmerized, just like they were mesmerized of Willie Pep. Is Willie Pep known for power? No. Good world, if you don't like my shouting, go somewhere else. I'm passionate about the sport, or turn your damn volume down. Yeah, Don, exactly. Gene Tooney and Jack Dempsey, exactly. Exactly. And Gene Tooney was slick. Gene Tooney was very slick. K-Rod, I see you in the building. Cono Loco Sports in the building. I appreciate you. Yeah. So, look, when people say, because I was on a panel, like I said yesterday, and everybody was saying that there's no way you can give Caleb Plant any rounds. Anybody that wants to join, Cono Loco or K-Rod, if you guys are free, there's a link, man. Jump in. But a lot of people were saying you can't give Caleb Plant rounds because he doesn't punch hard. What? Did Willie Pep punch hard? Is Willie Pep known for knocking dudes out? No, he's known for styling on people, making people look silly, making people punch thin air. And that's what Plant was doing to Canelo. Canelo had no choice but to go to the body because he couldn't hit him in the head. He couldn't land any headshots basically the first 5-6 rounds. He couldn't land any headshots. So okay, yeah, he was decent at going to the body, but you got no choice. That's what you got to do against a boxer. Canelo did what he had to do. That's how you try to keep a boxer at bay. You got to go to the body. More fighters should have went to the body more against Mayweather when Mayweather was fighting. But they tried to knock his head off. And it didn't work well for him, did it? All good, Kono, man. I'll be on for another 30 or so if you want to jump in after you settle down and kick your shoes off. RBG Boxing, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by. My man Omega Red in the building. We got K-Rod and the Sensei, Stormy B. What's good?
Hey, what's up, Divine?
I'm out here cooking, man. People tell me stop shouting, but I can't help it. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Same here.
Kono, man. I'll be on for another 30 or so. What's up, Sensei?
Hey, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Yeah, just you see the title of the live stream, man. I'm assuming that you guys have something to say on it. Did you send me that email, Stormy?
Not yet. I'll probably, it's a little late now, but I'll probably send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
It's just about, an issue that I had this evening on my own live stream that similar to one that you had. And I just kind of want to get some background on it, on how you handled it. That's all.
Yeah, I was saying earlier
and I don't
that
want to hijack what you're doing here to talk about that, but I did come on to talk about what you're talking about.
Yeah. I respect that and I understand that. We'll talk offline about it. We'll handle it. But yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier, I went on somebody else's panel who I didn't know. I'm still learning channels every day out here. There's so many new damn channels out here. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, I see somebody talk about boxing, I'm gonna swoop by if I don't know who you are.
Right.
But I'm learning about people every day, and I'm seeing some major differences when it comes to the opinions of boxing. Let me tell you.
Terrible.
But look, like I said earlier, man, this is who I am. I go through the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like a vigilante, man, like a rogue warrior, just running around here. People talking shit about the sweet science, and we're gonna have a problem. And whatever, you know what I'm saying? And people won't concede, but my voice is gonna be heard regardless. And
Right.
the thing about it is what I'm kind of addressing and alluding to right now is we were kind of touching on last live stream, Stormy, and you said that we should educate the masses better on how it is to score fights. That is a major issue with this because jabs don't matter anymore, apparently. Jab to the body, jab to the head, those punches don't count. We want to see big, hard, thudding shots to the head and the body that make the crowd go ooh and ah.
No, what
Right?
matters now is the person that's more popular and whomever is the headliner of a promotional event and whomever a sanctioning body favors. Okay, we can go home now. That's it. It's literally that's what is what is contingent on.
But look, let's not go off on a tangent, okay? I'm trying to stay on topic as much as I possibly can. I've been on for an hour. I've pretty much already given my thoughts in regards to the exchange of words in the 9th round. And I've given my thoughts about the post-fight embrace and hug and oh, I'm sorry and whatever. And for those who are just joining in, I'll just wrap it up just real quickly in a nutshell, and I'll swing it over to the two distinguished gentlemen on the panel. As far as the exchange in the 9th round, well, look, from first kind of glance, listening to it with my headphones on, it seems to me that Caleb Plant is looking for accreditation. It seems to me that he's saying, hey, man, you're pretty good. You think I'm good? Great. I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? That looks like a guy looking for accreditation, and that's my opinion, until somebody can prove otherwise. As far as at the end of the fight, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you don't go up to hug a man when you get knocked out. I mean, come on. I mean, like I said, boxing has a way to humble people, win, lose, or draw. And these two men, they went to war. They both got hit with shots. And they went in and they said what they had to say, leave it in the ring, and they keep it moving. I don't have a problem with it. I know a lot of people feel kind of funny about it, but I don't have a problem with it. And I guess that's because I know what it feels like to be punched in the face. And if you don't, I encourage you to go and buy some boxing gloves. Or as a matter of fact, you don't even have to do that. Most places, they got everything you need. Just show up. And you'll get humbled real quick. And you're gonna want to go shake the man's hand or the woman's hand if you're a female. Females out there boxing, doing good work too. So that's just my stance on it. I have no problem with the end of the fight. I do find it suspicious and funny and weird, and I'm confused about the exchange in the 9th round. K-Rod, what's your thoughts on
it? For what topic?
You can start with the 9th round exchange.
Oh, yeah, like I didn't catch it until I saw like videos of it, but no, like I was actually kind of laughing like when I saw that because like I think Canelo, he was actually too egotistical to think that Plant was gonna be like this like easy victory, but no, like to me, like I thought that was like a good mind game trick that Caleb did to Canelo to actually like let him know like just because you think I'm not I guess on your level of superstardom, that doesn't mean that I could present problems to you to make you look average, if not worse, coming into the fight. And I think that was awesome by Caleb Plant because that just shows how much of a great fighter he is and how much experience that he's gained from this fight because that turned him into a much better dedicated fighter and athlete.
Stormy, go ahead and give me your thoughts before I reply to K-Rod. What were your thoughts about the exchange? And have you heard it yet, Stormy?
Yeah, I heard it, and
okay.
I am not going to. I'm not going to comment on it on my channel or anything like that. I think there's some things that I would like to bring out about that. But I heard that exchange, and what it did to me is reminded me of the Jamal James fight when he lost to Butayev. And he was over there in the corner after he got stopped. He put his, first of all, when he got stopped, he put his arm around the ref and walked to the corner as if to say, and I commented this on my post fight, I said it was like he was happy that the ref stepped in and saved his life. Then he went over and he was immediately congratulating Butayev for beating his behind, and was very gracious and all of that. But he was the champion and everything, and he seemed to take more out of being defeated and being in there with someone. It was like he was conceding. He conceded in the fight and he conceded after the fight. With this thing with Caleb and the exchange with Canelo was, as you indicated, or not indicated, but you stated, he was looking for some type of confirmation from someone that he held in a different regard than he held for himself. This is two champions supposedly, and you're in there competing with another guy. You really shouldn't be caring or concerned about whether or not that he thinks you're good or you're actually competing with him. You should be looking to either break his will or his jaw, because that's your job in there. But it's obvious that we're seeing a lot of this now, that these men are like, it's like they're fans of someone who has a little more notoriety or a greater name or something, and they don't want to challenge that. They just want to be respected, and for someone to say, yeah, you're up here with me. Look at what Teofimo did, coming over there with the belts that he has in his possession, standing next to Canelo as if, look, see, I'm like you. No, you're not. Just like Canelo against Caleb. Caleb was not. The press conference where he spoke, he said some things that were truthful and everything. He even said things that stirred some interest. And of course, that exchange between them went viral. It helped promote things. But from his performance, from that exchange that you're speaking of, from how the fight ended, Caleb never felt he was on Canelo's level. And that's why he lost. You guys are seeing it for yourself. You don't have to make excuses. You don't have to look around outside of anything. You look at Caleb, because a man don't look to another man to say, hey, am I a man too? You understand? Mm-hmm. It's your deeds. It's how you carry and conduct yourself. It's how you move. It's how you make assessments. It's how you actually project energy that places you in something that where someone can recognize that and say, oh, that's a man. You understand? That's why bullies and criminals in the street, they know who to mess with and who not to mess with. Okay? The baddest guy on the block whooping everybody's behind or whatever got a person that is no better. You see? And in this instance, this is what it comes down to. It's psychological. That's why he got knocked out. Because remember, he was catching that hook all night and everything. Canelo said he was going to stop him, because remember, that's what he said. When they were asked, Canelo, how do you think the fight's going to go? Oh, I think it's going to be tough in the beginning, but I'll get him late. Well, what's late? He said 8, 9 rounds, maybe 10, but it'll be late. And he stops him in the 11th. Caleb was happy that he got past that 8th, 9th, 10th round, and he let his guard down, and then he was down.
You got caught. Yeah. And for those of you who are new to the channel, I appreciate it.
But those are my thoughts.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's what the people needed to hear. I see some fire emojis coming in so people know what time it is. Sensei's in the building. Look, for those of you dropping by for the first time, I saw a few people comment that they're new to the channel and subscribe. I appreciate you. Salute to you. This is what we do here. We have open conversation. We don't always agree. And I get passionate sometimes and I start to rant and rave because, you can never appease everyone. That's just the way it goes out here. But one thing I'm not going to do is fall in line to narratives that don't have facts to back it up. Period. So, I have no issue with Caleb Plant being in the fight and realizing like, oh damn, this is harder than I thought it was, and saying what he said, but that should be at the end of the fight, not during the fight. That's my opinion, and I agree with Stormy. If you're going to be saying something, what I want to hear is you talking some shit. And what I heard is not him talking shit. That's just my opinion. Hey, you're pretty good. Do you think I'm good too? I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? Like, to me, that's like you're asking somebody to give you credit. You should be confident and know of your skills and know that you've put on a good fight. And instead, you should be saying, like, hey, I was tapping that ass tonight, wasn't I? Yeah. This speed was hurting you. Yeah, the jab, and pop him in the face with the jab. How do you like that? That's how you should be talking shit. And again, people, we have to remember, man, we got to keep it a buck. Plant was talking a lot of shit leading up to this fight, and I agreed with it. I was like, yeah, somebody finally standing up to him. So you got to back it up all the way. And if you get caught, you get caught. It is what it is. It's boxing. But you don't, like, in the middle and a round that you won. Even Canelo fans have you winning the 9th round. And it's just weird that in the 9th round is a round where you're saying these type of things. And maybe that's like, oh, well, because he was putting that work in. And so he was trying to get that credit because he was doing a good round. He was putting a good round in, so he's looking for credit from Canelo. I mean, I guess. But again, you win in the round, so you should be talking shit. If you win in the round, you should be talking shit. Like, yeah, how you like that? It's not as easy as you thought that I was, huh? And if you're gonna say anything about 21-0, it should be, I'm 21-0 and I'm still beating that ass, ain't I? That's what you should be saying.
Yeah, and something else that was kind of interesting? Why didn't he, meaning Plant, why didn't he try to keep the fight in the center of the ring where his options are multiplied? Why did that young man continue to put himself in the area that I define as the triangle and near the ropes? Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Hasim Rahman by moving near the ropes and trying to block a right hand that he just didn't get up in the right position, and it landed flush on his chin, and he couldn't step back and get out of the way because Rahman timed him perfectly near the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Canelo Alvarez's best options against a fighter who boxes like Caleb Plant is to catch him in the triangle. That's the ring post area that's like this, right? And along the ropes. When he tied Canelo up, it was a horrible way of tying him up. He was like grabbing one arm and holding on to it tight, and Canelo was freely hitting him with the other arm. He was trying not to hit him in the back of the head, but he still was hitting him with his free hand. You're taught to tie up by wrapping both arms, up, and either walk the guy backwards, because that puts strain on his legs, or walk him in a circle, counterclockwise. Typically, if he's an orthodox fighter, you want to walk him in the opposite direction. If he's a southpaw, you walk him in the opposite direction, because that puts him in a point that even when you do break, he has to reset.
Right. And let me add to that real quick.
Boxing 101.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And Plant kept moving to his left the entire fight. Yes. And I understand that is the natural movement of a right-handed fighter. But against a guy like Canelo, something that Mayweather did is you move left, you move right, you go in, you go out, you slip underneath, you pivot, you reset Canelo constantly. And towards the end of the fight, Plant just kept wheeling to his left and wheeling to his left, going the same direction. It's not even Canelo. Any decent fighter can time that. Right? When you're continuously moving to your left. You get that right hand in there. You jump in with that right hand. And in the early parts of the fight, Caleb was fresh enough to get away, to like duck underneath and get the Philly shell. But as the fight went on, he wasn't, fatigue, man. It set in. And I keep telling people, Canelo, one thing that he has improved immensely on is his ability to not gas out in fights like he did, 7-8 years ago. He conserves his energy. That's the word I was looking for. Right? And Plant is moving all the time, and Plant's grabbing on, and Plant's doing a 5-piece. He's like, he's like putting these big combos on, and some of them might get through, but what is Canelo doing? Saving energy.
And was winning rounds without throwing punches. I thought only Willie Pep did that. But this is like ridiculous, because Caleb, when opportunities presented himself, he didn't throw the shots that he could have thrown. And basically, those are body punches.
Uppercuts.
Yeah.
He abandoned the uppercut.
You know the one punch that is hardly ever thrown. But a 5-dimensional fighter knows this punch and knows when to throw it. The punch is, if you're an orthodox fighter, the right uppercut on the inside, just as a guy is either throwing a jab or even a right hand, because you could slip to the outside and throw the shot. Because when you come up under the arm, the floating rib and the solar plexus is very vulnerable. There have been a few fighters get knocked out by that punch. Okay. And what's his name? The last fight when he unified for 140, when Bud Crawford fought that guy, I can't think of his name right now. My mind is, but
Julius Ndongo.
Yeah, Ndongo. Yeah, Ndongo throws wide looping punches, and Bud threw that uppercut to the floating rib. As when he threw his punch, Bud threw his punch. He studied the guy. He knew the punches to throw. The guy got hit with the shot because he never saw it. And when you punch, you exhale, right? So when he got hit with the shot, he hit Ndongo with the shot, and all the air went out of Ndongo's lungs. So he couldn't get up. He writhed on the canvas in pain because, one, the shot hurt, but two, all of the air was forced out of his lungs. So he had to lay there for about 20, 25 seconds. And it's only a 10 count. That's why he couldn't get up. Boxing 101. If you understand these things, see, but Caleb wasn't throwing the uppercuts to Canelo's body. He was throwing stuff all that on the outside and everything, and he was afraid to really engage in close on the inside. You're a bigger guy.
But Stormy, but not only that, Canelo's a shorter fighter.
That's what I'm saying.
Uppercut his ass to the face.
Yes.
Joe Louis his ass.
It's really weird, man. You had Andre Ward in your gym trying to show you some stuff. I wonder what Ward was trying to show him. because
Has Ward even
he,
commented on the fight? I don't think he's even said anything. He's probably disappointed.
yeah, he probably exactly. He's probably as disappointed as you could be, man, because it's
And
like
I say that with a lot of love for Plant, man. I don't want people to think that I'm backtracking and I'm here to like clown Plant, and that's not the case.
no, that's the thing also, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We critique fights and fighters. Listen, nobody gets a pass. Nobody.
I know
You
Reggie Owens.
understand?
Reggie Owens. Shout out to Reggie, man. He didn't like when we were talking about Caleb Plant earlier,
I know
and
on
it's
the show, yeah.
on your show. And it's not
Yeah.
about like we're not attacking Caleb, man. Look, man, at the end of the day, Caleb did something that a lot of fighters wouldn't dare to do. And that is go for greatness.
Listen, when Deontay lost to Fury in this third fight, you heard my critique of the fight. And even when I was asked, they said, what do you think his next step should be? I initially said he might want to think about retiring. And I wasn't saying that like, oh, I think he's washed up or whatever. But what from the vantage point of my assessment at that moment was he did all of that training. He had all of those camps. He because he had several camps, just like Fury had a couple of camps. He had several. But when it came down to it, nothing was really applied. He had that chance for a knockout, but the count was long and everything like that. Plus, he broke his hand when he hit the guy. You know, a lot of things you figure out in the aftermath. But my concern is that going to be a problem? That point of vulnerability, is that going to be a problem? And I think it very well may. So I don't want to see the man hurt. But if he wants to continue, who am I? I'll be there watching. You understand? But
Yeah.
when we talk about critiquing, that's what it is. It's an honest assessment. I'm not going to lie or try to hide my eyes and be like, hey, man.
Sugarcoat.
Yeah. Because it's not about being in love with the fighter. It's about being in love with the sport of boxing, because these guys that you see presently right now, they're going to go away. And then it's going to be a new set of guys.
It's out of a lot of love. It's out of a lot of love because we see the potential in Caleb Plant. As much as people discredit him and say he wasn't a worthy opponent and he got smashed and this and that, to you I say, get out of my face. Okay? Caleb Plant made it very challenging. All right? But at the same time, if you're going to say that Caleb Plant he's much better than Canelo and he just got hit with an unlucky punch, I'm not going to ride with that either. Canelo
because
set that
you know
punch
what?
up.
There's writing on the wall about Caleb. Remember, he has shown in other fights that he fades late in the fight.
Yeah, he did against Usataki too.
Yes, he fades. It seems like after 7 or 8, he kind of he wanders.
It's his threshold.
Yeah, it's a lot of fighters have that. De La Hoya had it. It happens when you know a guy, and I think what that is really the 7-5 theory. I think that some men condition themselves to believe like, if I can put this many rounds under the belt, I got this fight. Which they shouldn't think like that, because there is something called a second wind, you know?
Yes.
And if you watch this fight, Canelo was never pressed to have to implement the second wind.
And
which
if anybody,
he knows, because he's very experienced. But
yeah,
a lot of these guys are not experienced like that. With 21 fights. Now let's back up and not talk so much about Caleb's abilities, but how about this as an experience factor? With 21 fights, how much knowledge of boxing did he take into the ring against Canelo, who
as a
has
pro,
fought the likes of Mayweather, you know, and you go through all the names, Cotto and world champion
Laura,
Trout, you know, and so forth and so on. Championship caliber guys, because a lot of those guys have either fought for titles or at one point were titleless. So how much with 21 fights does he have to be on that level? In the case that something happens that doesn't
I'm not sure. We might have lost him. But look, I just wanted to throw this out there too. Look, Caleb Plant, he's great for not only boxing with his style. Boxing always needs that that slick style. It's always good for the sport, but especially in the 168 division. Where most of the fighters there, you have Canelo, who's like a boxer puncher, Benavidez, who's purely a puncher, and you have like Durrell and a few others who have shades of boxing ability, but at the end of the day, they're not like a pure boxer like Plant is, and it's good to have that. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it looks like Stormy has dropped out. He has like internet problems sometimes. I think some issues. I've had him on here before. Just double check. I think he's trying to come back in now. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there for people, right? It's the fact that what I don't want people to think is that I'm no longer a fan of Caleb because he had some weird exchange in the 9th round with Canelo, or he lost the fight, or anything like that. I want Caleb to learn from this, just like Canelo learned from the Floyd Mayweather fight. I want him to learn from this. I want him to improve. And I do believe he will be back and he will be a champion again. And also I want to say this too. For all you Canelo fans out there that are discrediting Plant the way that you are, that makes you look suspect. Because that basically is saying that Canelo continues to fight fighters that are not quality. So you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. You want Canelo to beat quality fighters so he can get recognition, but then every time he fights people, you say, "Oh, it wasn't a challenge, and he smashed through him," and you try to make it seem as if, "Oh, but Canelo's just this powerhouse, and he's just so much light years better than everyone." I don't agree with that. I agree with Gabriel Rosado when he said that Canelo is beatable. Mayweather laid the blueprint to that. Once you take a loss, you can be beat again. It's just a matter of who you face if they can execute it. Has Canelo improved since Mayweather? Absolutely. Is that blueprint exactly what it should be? I mean, like exactly the way Floyd beat him. You can beat him the same way? No. But there are things in that Mayweather fight that will still give Canelo problems today. And Plant didn't do those things. Because if he did, he would have won the fight, or at least he would have won the fight on most people's scorecards. And if he got robbed, then that's a different conversation.
I'm going to drop one quick gem for you on that, and I apologize. My signal went out because I'm sitting right next to my router, and when it went out, the light went red on it. So I don't know what that was about. But we had some power outages here in the Midwest earlier today, this morning, for some reason. Wi-Fi and internet was going out on people in several states. So I don't know if they're playing with the power grid or what, but just wanted to say that real quick. This is what I have to say about Canelo being better since he fought Floyd. He's a little bit better since he fought Floyd. But remember, some of the fighters that he fought, like Lara and Trout, they were able to do similar things to him that Floyd did, and he had trouble there. Those fighters didn't have the name that Floyd had, and some of them still didn't have that extra something that Floyd had that could assert themselves over a fighter like Canelo. If Floyd were a younger guy, he beat the crap out of Canelo. So that
Mm,
being said, what I wanted to say about Canelo is
that's true too.
no, he hasn't improved that much. He has improved, but not that much. The fighters that he's fighting, his contemporaries, are not as good as the former era. That's a fact.
I agree.
And because they don't
I agree.
have that competitive pedigree like that, I questioned Reggie with this question on the show the other night. I said, what was Floyd's mantra in the gym? And he said, hard work, dedication. I said, boom, bingo. These guys of today, they are more into, hey, I got a million followers on whatever social media and all of that foolishness. They want to walk around, they want people to kiss the ring and the Converse and all of that, but they're not getting it done in the ring. And the second thing is they don't have the competitive drive to beat their contemporaries. So when you have people like that who are half-assing it, someone like Canelo, who fought Floyd and thought it was going to be a cakewalk because Floyd was 36, whatever when he fought, and he still lost. Listen, Canelo's like, if I just work a little harder, I can beat these guys up because he can see it. He can see
Because they're
that.
not because the guys that Canelo beat after Floyd would have beat them and probably more convincingly, especially the guys that Canelo had trouble with. Maybe not at 160, but definitely anything below 160. I don't know if Floyd would have ever been
Right.
able to go that high. Okay, but I want to
No, he
throw that
wouldn't.
out there.
He doesn't even go that high with his exhibitions now. He's not that high.
Yeah. But I want to get K Rod's thoughts real quick. K Rod, do you agree with Stormy B Man saying that, you know, Canelo has improved, but really not that much? It's been the opposition. His opposition hasn't really been a challenge. Do you agree with that?
I would say personally, no, because like Canelo just looks like the same fighter compared to 2013 Canelo versus Floyd. And the only thing that I would ever say that he's gotten better in is just understanding what the fight, as it goes on, but not knowing how to implement it when it's translated into the later portions of those rounds. Because what he likes to do when he faces guys that he has struggles with is that he'll study you, he'll understand you, he'll give those rounds away. But then once it comes into let those later rounds, like what Stormy said, it's just like a whole different battle because it's like Canelo knows like what he can do to implement like the right strategy,
Mm-hmm.
but I purely believe Canelo, he's not that gifted enough athletically to know how to beat those guys. Because if he was, and he actually had like the boxing IQ and like the boxing strategies to do what he wanted to do, I'm pretty sure he would have had like a way better adaptation to beat those guys like Lara and Trout and all the other slick fighters that he had trouble with in the past. Otherwise, Canelo, he would have been way like more improved in a skill set to be at the highest caliber of what we want him to be.
And this will probably piss off Canelo fans, but I'm going to go ahead and burst your bubble anyways. Canelo could have 3 losses on his record or 2 more losses because I had Laura beating Canelo and I had Triple G beating him in the first fight. So that's just my opinion. I know you guys probably don't agree. And
I
Bronchi's
had
box, what's good? Yeah, I actually made a video about that Bronchies, but YouTube took it down, unfortunately. Go ahead, Stormy.
no, I was agreeing with you. I also had Lyra beating him,
Mm.
and Lyra could have actually sat down on his punches a little more because I think he's a little tougher, but he was happy with the work he was doing and he was being successful. So it wasn't like he had to go for broke. But I believe if he were behind, right, on cards in his cornerman's mind or something, and they had to tell him, hey man, you're gonna have to really go out there and do such and such and such or whatever, I think he was capable. But the way he boxed, he was very effective. And if they were scoring it properly, he should have got the victory. Remember, Floyd had a judge that scored it a draw.
Yep. And
You
that's
know what
that's the
I'm
thing
saying?
people have to understand, like, because Canelo fans right now, they don't really care about the scorecards, because in their mind the knockout happened and that's the only thing that matters to them. But what people have to realize is that if Caleb, and of course it's it's hypothetical, but if Caleb boxed in the 11th round and 12th round like he did the 9th round, that even the judges gave Caleb Plant that round, then on my scorecards, Caleb Plant would have been robbed. And on a lot of other people's scorecards, Caleb Plant would have been robbed. So that's another discussion, as in regards to a fighter being favored and how a fight is scored and how you score punches and et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget, like Stormy just said, in the Floyd Mayweather fight, where Floyd, everybody knows, every boxing expert had Floyd winning that fight easy, but yet one judge had it a draw. Yes, that judge is no longer a part of the sport, but still, if Caleb Plant would have, if they would have had, and you know what, if it would have went 12 and they had it like, they had Canelo winning by a round or two, or one judge had Caleb up by a round or two, and it was like a split decision, I wouldn't agree with it, but I would say, well, you know what? Canelo's the A side. He's the champ. It happens, right? But that's not what was going to happen. These judges would have had Canelo winning 10 rounds to 2. That's what the scorecards would have been. That's what people have to understand. And of course, Canelo fans, they're okay. They think that's a great scorecard. But again, it's a question of scoring and how a fight should be scored. Do people really know how a fight is scored, or they just think they know? Or are they just a fan of a fighter, and when they land a hard shot here and there, they're like, oh, they won the round? Does bias exist in boxing when it comes to scoring? Absolutely. I openly admit that I have to catch myself sometimes, because I am openly admitting that I am biased towards the boxing style. So sometimes I have to think, well, he boxed pretty well, but he did get hit flushed, here and there. And so even in the Plant Canelo fight, I had to give a couple rounds to Canelo because I felt like Canelo was trying to press the fight and Plant just didn't do enough. But, so you have to be able to swallow your bias if you're going to judge a fight objectively. And most people can't do that. And that's exactly why people like Michael Fox get robbed, Rigondeaux get robbed, and Castaño got robbed too against Charlo, in my opinion.
Shinard Bunch.
Yeah, that fight too. So we have a handful of fights this year that, to me, is very, egregious and stands out like a sore thumb. But nobody talks about it, because as long as Canelo wins, or as long as Teofimo wins, or these big superstars win, then it's okay. It's okay. That's my personal opinion about it. And I can sit up here and give Canelo credit all day long. It doesn't matter how much credit I give him. It doesn't change the fact that scoring is biased for Canelo. You cannot change my mind to that. And I was on the panel the other night, and all these guys were coming at me, and they're like, oh, that's bullshit, man, because PBC, they were the promoters, and they hired the judges. And Dave Moretti, he favored Mayweather, so why would he favor Canelo? Look, man, y'all need to do a little bit more research, man, on the history of the sport. I don't care how you cut it or slice it. Yes, promotional companies do hire the judges. That is true. But Canelo's also the A side. Just like Floyd Mayweather was the A side when he fought Canelo, but one judge still scored a draw. Why? Because Canelo's on the card. ¿Entiendes? That's my point. Mayweather was the A side in that fight. He promoted that whole fight. It was, I think it was Golden Boy. There was, I don't remember if it was a cross promotion or how it all came about, but Floyd was the A side, and one judge still called it a draw when it wasn't even like remotely close to a draw. Why? Because Canelo's on the card. So then the question is, okay, Divine, I see what you're saying. So why would they do that then? Why would they favor Canelo? Why are they biased towards Canelo? You tell me. You tell me why. I don't know why. If I knew why, I wouldn't be talking about it. I'll tell you guys why. I don't know why. So you tell me. So that's just the way I see it. You can't change my mind on that. So now, Stormy and K-Rod, now the conversation is, and I know Blue Blood dropped a vid, and now more people are dropping vids about it, that supposedly Canelo's coming back May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and he's going to fight Benavidez. Do I have a problem with the fight? No. I mean, if he's going to stay at 168, that's really the only guy he can fight. Right? That if you're going to throw a guy in there who could possibly knock him out, it would be Benavidez. But people, let's be real here, please. Benavidez, I don't mind him. I think he's a pretty good fighter. He's exciting. I watch his fights. He's coming up this weekend. I'll watch. I mean, let's be real. He's got to win that fight, by the way, if he is going to fight Canelo. He should win, though. Okay? But let's be honest here. The dude ain't got no head movement. The dude ain't got no defense. He's long and punches hard, but Caleb Smith is long and punches hard too. Benavidez maybe punches a little bit harder. But a guy who comes forward with his hands up, you're telling me that Canelo can't take care of that? And if you want a prediction for me right off the top, I'll tell you right now, Canelo wins that fight by decision. Outworking him, outpunching him, and Benavidez not able to hurt him. He might win 2 or 3 rounds on the scorecards. Maybe 4.
Benavidez is going to find it hard to hit him clean.
Yes.
Because he's used to a guy, being there for him or whatever, just like Darrell was. But Canelo has too much savvy for that. And he can trick the guy. And I'll tell you something about counter punches. When you're a great counter puncher, you can make a guy keep his hands at home.
Mm-hmm. Be
Because
leery.
he shuts down mentally. He's like, every time I do that, he hits me. Every time I do that, he scores better. It's like, so they become hesitant.
I like it when Stormy comes on the panel because you and I break down the sweet science. We want to inform people, right, about this stuff. Plant, right? He's pretty good at feints. His style to keep people, leery or aware is he feints a lot. He feints with the right hand, pops the jab, right? He has this thing where he opens the right hand, left uppercut, right? But Canelo doesn't really use a feint. He has this up and down, bob and weave head movement style. So you don't know which foot the shot is coming from, right? So he's underneath, and you don't know if he's going to come up with the jab, come up with the left hook, and that's deceptive. And when you're punching over the top of Canelo, which Danny Jacobs did a lot, where he was ducking underneath Danny Jacobs, come from underneath, boom, right? That's what Mike Tyson used to do too.
Yeah,
kind of like that peekaboo style
what it is?
rolling shot.
Like Dempsey style.
What you're talking about is they call it drawing the fight fighter's offense out so you can do something off of what he does. Tyson would, you throw a punch at him, he'll slip and hit you. You know, it's like whatever punch that you threw, he knew what movement to make because he was versed in that. Canelo has learned that similar thing, though he's not fighting out of a Tyson style. It's still the same principle. And he doesn't feint like traditionally, like with, you know, you stump your feet or you give that shoulder or whatever. But you know what he does? He feints with his hands. He's very good at that. He's very deceptive. He knows how to put his hand up a certain kind of way and make you think a certain punch is coming and something else hits you flush. It's just like, go back and look at the fight with he and what's my man's name that used to be trained by Ann Wolf?
I know who you're
What's his
talking
name?
about.
James Kirkland. Okay.
Kirkland, yeah.
When he knocked Kirkland out, it was set up beautifully by a couple of other shots that he had landed. He had landed some tremendous left hooks to the body and everything. And he feinted with his hand like he was going down to the body again. And when Kirkland kind of turned that way, he came right over the top with that right hand and boom, got Kirkland. And it was funny because the way he did it, it looked like he waved the right hand like this, but it was really, he was feinting with the left. Like, I'm going down here again, and just came right over the top on his chin. It was beautifully placed, but it was a feint. It was a deception that took place there. And he's very good at those kind of things. And I feel like Caleb recognized that early, and that might have been the thing that make him keep his hands at home more.
Yeah.
But the way you offset that is the jab. The jab, the jab, the jab. People don't understand how important the jab is. You can say it cliche, right? Like you hear people say it, even some of the brothers out here doing the content and the channels and all of that. Man, you got to work behind the jab. But see, you have to have an educated jab. You have to know how to use the jab.
Right, a meaningful
jab is a weapon that can be used in a variety of ways against any opponent. But you have to know how to use it. Larry Holmes was heavyweight champion for 7.5 years with 20 title defenses.
Amazing jab.
And the jab is what
bazooka jab
him through all of that. Because it's not so much about hitting the guy hard. It's about knowing how to put it out there to do something to the other person and to defend yourself. You know, if you have a guy that is elusive, you can feint the jab to make him move. And when you feint the jab again, he's going to move again. But it takes time to understand where he moves to, how he moves. That takes you a couple of rounds. That's acquiring data on your opponent. The great fighters do that. Larry did it. You know who does it? Right now, Floyd used to do it, but Terrence Crawford, he does that. He gathers data. That's why some people think, oh, he's losing these rounds. It doesn't matter because it's scheduled for 12.
Yeah.
If you get the first 4 against him, like Kell Brook was, got out ahead a couple of rounds on him. But where'd the fight end, though? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get a guy, you gain some data. Those first few rounds, even though the judges ridiculously were given to Canelo, should have gone to Plant, but Canelo was gathering data. He was looking at how Caleb moves. One of the things he did all night long, which was ridiculous, is that bending over to the right. I hate that. I hate that. I hate that.
Yep. Billy Joe did it too, but it did it to his left because he's southpaw.
Yeah. Dude, you have to you don't want to be bending over at all, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Stormy, I was just thinking now, you remember Frank Sanchez, right? On the undercard?
Yes.
Yes. That's how you box Canelo.
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
Left, right, jab, slip underneath, right hand over the top. Never staying in one spot, ever. Move.
He had a job of confused, didn't he?
Yes, and
And then he made him
Plant
keep
is
his hands
athletic.
at home.
Plant is athletic. He can do it, and that's what frustrates me. He's more athletic than Canelo, in my opinion. Canelo is strong. He's a good puncher, but athleticism, movement, like Plant has the capabilities. But look, guys, he had 21 fights leading into this. That's just if somebody said, Divine, use one word to describe this last fight on why Canelo won. Experience.
Yes.
Yep,
Period.
absolutely, hands down.
Not power, not body shots, none of that foolishness. Experience. Period. That's
Yes.
why.
Yes, you are
And just real
1000%
quickly,
correct.
I see Psycho Boxing Fan and El Jefe. You guys came in late. I'll give you guys the benefit of the doubt. I never said the fight was staged. Okay, I asked a question. So I never said that. Okay, what I'm saying is that there was the whole point of this live. You guys are coming in because you see the title of the video. Fair enough. There is an exchange in the 9th round. A lot of people are coming in, so I don't want to leave these people to stray. There's an exchange in the 9th round that makes people feel and suspect a possible stage situation, given the fact that, Plant was talking all this craziness leading up to the fight, and in the 9th round, he's like having a little friendly conversation, and people were like, what the hell's that? Right? I'm opening it up for a conversation. That's what we're doing. For me, I don't see it that way. My opinion, I stated earlier, is that for me, it was Plant looking for a little bit of accreditation, like a little bit of, just credit in general. Like, hey, you're pretty good. Do you think I'm good too? That's what it was like to me. Until it's proven otherwise, that is my stance. C. Wood in the building. What's good? TS Boxing also dropping in. Good to see you. The gentleman, Pigeon Mike Tyson. Yeah, what's good, bro? Yeah, I was over there. I was over on H Money, man, the other day. So I appreciate you dropping by. As long as you keep it respectful, then you're welcome to the Kingdom of Divine Sense Boxing. It's a little bit different over here, Pigeon Mike Tyson, compared to H Money. But yeah, I respect the fact that you're able to bounce back and forth and get some different perspectives. So look, let me just play this a time or two for the people that just joined. And for those who are just joining to listen to it, because there's probably people that may not even know that this has happened. I didn't know until Drew Titan sent it to me yesterday or earlier this morning for you guys in the States. So here we go.
You're pretty good. You're pretty good? Yeah, pretty good. That's a good fight right there. I like it. I respect your skills. I know. Pretty good for 21-0, huh?
All right, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. It's a bit faint. I mean, I hear it pretty well because I have my headphones on. But what I'm going to do now, as it loops back in, is I'm gonna translate for it or let you guys know what's being said. Caleb Plant says you're pretty good. Am I pretty good too? Canelo says yes. Plant says it's a pretty good fight. Plant says, I respect your skills. Canelo says, yeah, I know. And then Plant says, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? So that is what was said in the ring. If you guys couldn't hear my voice clearly because of the audio, do it one more time. Plant said, I respect your skills. Do you respect my skills too? And Canelo said, yeah. And then Plant said, what did he say after that? He said, I respect your skills. And he said, this is a pretty damn good fight. And then he said, I'm pretty good for 21-0, right? So that's what was said. like we can go back and forth, obviously, about it. I mean, it's a conversation in a ring between two fighters. I mean, it can literally mean nothing, or it can mean a whole lot. I mean, you take it for what it is. For me, I would prefer somebody going for Caleb Plant. I would prefer him to be like talking some real shit because he won this round. This is the 9th round.
Check this out,
Even on the
Divine.
official,
While you're
yeah,
playing this clip, check this out. You know how we were just talking about the jab and Larry Holmes, right?
yep,
For as good as he's supposed to be, Canelo doesn't use a jab.
True.
Now, he throws a couple of jabs, yes, but he's not a jabber. He isn't. He's looking to find range, but he doesn't optimize the use of a jab, which means, in total simplicity, a boxer should be able to have their way with him. You see?
yeah,
Look at all, just in this small clip that you've played, look at the look at what Canelo is doing and look at what Plant is not doing. A lot of dead air space, as it, silence, no action, nothing. Why is that? And a lot of the rounds went like this.
yeah. Especially in the middle to late rounds. Yeah, and Shell Bell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're new to the channel. We're not just watching round 9. Relax. Okay. We're talking about a conversation that was held in the middle of the ring. Okay. We're not talking bad about your favorite fighter, Canelo. Okay. Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's okay.
Hey, Devon,
Yeah, go ahead.
could I add on like one more fighter that I think has like a good style to beat Canelo?
Sure.
Theoretically,
Lay it on us.
I don't know if you can agree, Stormy, but I think like the perfect complete fighter that would beat Canelo in this type of matchup would be Jerron Boots Ennis. Like simply because of like how you said he has a really good jab, can control the distance, but on top of that, like the way he fights, Canelo doesn't like those people that basically create those angles and those spaces where like once you tag him, it's like Canelo, he's like basically mentally defeated in the fight where like basically every punch that you throw at him, he just can't throw back at you. And I think for this fight, Plant failed to use his punches at the right moments to offset Canelo to make him not confident enough to go in on Plant. So I think a guy like Jerron Ennis or Frank Sanchez, if you will, those type of styles give Canelo the most problems to lose.
Well, I understand what you're saying there, K Rod, but this is what I'm looking at. Just even in this footage, Canelo was trying to find the way to get the punch in that he wanted to land on Plant. It took a lot of rounds to get it in there, but he got it in there. And the thing is, look at how he's moving. He's not simply following him, though it looks like it, but he's watching his shoulders, he's watching how he slides to a certain side, because when he gets ready to throw what he wants to, it's going to be a timing shot. And it ended up being that left hook in the 11th. That may have been the punch he was trying to land all night long. He never stopped throwing it. And you have to understand, when a fighter believes in what he does, he's going to do it till it's over. You know, it reminds me of when Tommy Morrison was fighting Lennox Lewis, and he had a badly swelling eye and everything. He had been dropped by Lewis a couple of times, and when they finally went to stop the fight, before they stopped the fight, Tommy's corner was trying to say, "Hey, man, you losing. You gotta do this. I'm gonna stop it." And he said, "I still got my left hook. I still got my left hook." See, that's a fighter who believes in what he can do, and Canelo is that kind of guy.
Yeah, so
See,
I'm
you're
playing.
right about Jaron Ennis, though, K-Rod, because Jaron Ennis is such a talent. He can do multiple things. And a fighter like Canelo, who's calculating, when you present him with an equation like that, that's too much for him to think. And that's where you can catch him because he's trying to figure you out, but you're doing something while he's trying to figure. You're already executing. See, Plant gave him a lot of dead air space, and he figured Plant out. A fighter like Jaron Ennis, you ain't got time to figure him out. You got to fight him. You got to go. Otherwise, he's gonna get you.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Delorme. If you remember, when he came out, he hit Delorme with a stiff jab right off the bat. Boom. And then after a few seconds, he hit Delorme with a couple of stiff jabs. Boom, boom. And he realized this guy ain't moving out of the way. You understand? Every jab was like catching Delorme flush. So the moment that he feinted, he went in, and when Delorme went down, he came over with that right on the temple. Bam! And dropped him. And that was in the first round.
Yeah, and for anybody wondering, for Jaron Ennis, because he's technically now a welterweight, he can make 160 for sure. I don't know if he can make 168, and I'll tell you guys why. Jaron Ennis, if you didn't know, he's 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. Okay, he's not a small man.
Right.
Jaron Ennis is not a small man. He can get into the middleweight division, no problem. So rather,
he'll probably be one heck of a middleweight, and he'll probably end up at super middleweight toward the end of his career if he wants to fight that long. He can mature and grow into that because remember, the kid is only 24 years old.
he's got a long time to go. Now, Canelo is 31, so he's probably got at least 4, if not 5 years left, I would imagine, if I had to guess. And I agree with Rojai right here. He says Ennis makes 168 in his 30s. I agree. Probably he can even 28, 29. He can be at 168. Will Canelo still be there? I mean, we don't know what the hell Canelo's going to do. Supposedly he's going to fight Benavidez. He may move up and try to fight Bivol, or we don't know what he's going to do with all these damn belts he's got now. Is he going to defend them? Is he going to wait for one of the Charlos to move up? We just don't know. But I agree. Ennis is a problem. Ennis is a guy who works constantly, as in like every round he's working, and he punches hard. And I think he's got a hell of a chin. I think he can take a punch. And I think he's got all the skills. Now, he probably needs 2 or 3 real high caliber fights to where I can actually say, yes, he can beat Canelo. But he, as of right now, he looks like the guy that can possibly be the new pound for pound. That's my opinion. So what I'm playing here is the end of the fight, obviously. And I watch it many times, and I'm thinking, kind of to Stormy's point, you're leaning over to the right. It wasn't the left hook. The left hook shook him, but the uppercut dropped him.
Yeah, and what position was he in when that uppercut hit?
Leaned over, right? And a lot of that is just muscle memory. Here it comes. Boom, that left uppercut. Bam.
Leaned over. And can I tell you something? That's a shot Canelo could have threw earlier. But an experienced guy, wait till he got tired. And remember, fatigue makes cowards out of men.
Yep.
Basically, what that means is when you're tired, you lose a lot. You lose your focus, you lose your thought process, you lose your ability to react or act. It slows down, and you can be caught clean. One of the things about that uppercut, though, let me say this, and I talk about this a lot. When you see fighters in matches where one guy finds his head under the other guy's armpit, when you lean down too much, when you go down, because your head should not go beneath your opponent's shoulders when you're in close. If a guy can get you where your head is under his armpit, bad things happen after that. Because basically, when your head is in his armpit, your eyes are where? Fixed to the floor. Your head is pointing down. You never want that at all. Stay out of that situation. Guy try to get you use your arms to ward that shit off, because if you don't, go back and watch Lennox Lewis and Michael Grant, and you will see exactly why you don't want to do that. An experienced fighter can take you out. You won't even see what's coming. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we just have to call it for what it is. And like Stormy said before, it's not us hating on fighters. It's a lot of times it's out of love, and just pointing out things that they can improve on and what we see. That's what we do here on YouTube. That's why we call ourselves, being a person that brings analysis to the sport, and, Caleb Plant did a really good job early. And it's just, like I said, man, it's just experience. Canelo was frustrated, yes, but he wasn't like worried. He wasn't like, oh shit, the fight's getting away from me. He was gauging. He was shadowing. He was waiting for the opportunity to land something big, and he knew it was going to come. It's like what Wilder used to say, right? I don't know when it's going to come, but it's going to come. And so we gotta keep it real, people. We gotta keep it real. When Ortiz fought Wilder the second time, I had Wilder down on the scorecards. If Wilder didn't knock out Ortiz would have won that fight. He was outboxing Wilder. But Wilder's got that eraser.
Yep.
And
it's scheduled. They always tell you it's scheduled for this many rounds. Now it's up to you if you want to try to do it inside the schedule. But it's all about in championship fights and rounds, an experienced fighter knows you have 12 rounds to work with. That's a lot of time, man. You're talking about 30 minutes, So when you're experienced, you break it down like that. I remember Michael Jordan one time talking about how he was averaging 33 points a game. He was like, well, if I could score 8 points a quarter, this is how we do it. He was like, I know I can get so many free throws. I get this rest between these quarters, and then I come back and I can score this many points. And he was like, if I have to pick it up late in the game, I know I have this many shots I could take, and this many times I can make the trip to the free throw line. He broke it down like a science. You understand? And you think he out there just shooting and gunning, but his percentage was high, but he knew the game. That's experience, knowing the game. And guess who came behind him doing the same damn thing? Kobe Bryant, because he studied Mike, and it's that same thing with a fighter like Canelo fighting in championship rounds. Guys want to get off to a good start with him, right? That, for another experienced fighter, that's not even what you're thinking of. You're thinking about setting things up. You're thinking about seeing how he moves, how if I throw this punch, what he does. That's making the proper assessments. And you got 12 rounds to work with. So when you get to the later rounds, when a guy is starting to get fatigued because you done hit him in that belly a few times, hit that liver, it's like, okay, he doesn't have the same evasiveness that he might have had early in the fight. So when that punch that you missed by 4 or 5 inches, now you might miss it by 2 or 3 inches. You understand? So when you understand the science of fatigue over those rounds and what you do to get the guy to be there for you, then you begin to understand how to execute. Canelo knew he had 12 rounds to work with this guy, but I bet you Caleb was thinking 7-5. So if I get out and I can win like the first seven rounds, or win at least 4 or 6 out of the 10, it's like that's dangerous water to tread if you are an experienced guy.
Yes. Yeah. Especially you might be able to get away with that against Usataki, but a guy like Canelo, that's a different story for sure. I'm gonna put another poll in the chat, everyone, and let me know what you guys think. So Caleb Plant has lost. I think he'll be back for sure. I think he's gonna learn a lot. I was over on H Money, as I said earlier, and a lot of people said Plant's done. He's done for good. He's damaged goods. I said, damn. I mean, shit, man. They went 11 rounds. I mean, damn, bro. But look, I don't agree with that, obviously. I think he will be back, and I think that he'll be a champion again. But first, who is he going to fight next, in your opinion? I'm going to put the poll in the chat. Who should he fight, or who would you like to see him fight? I'm just going to put 4 options in there, and you guys can go for it. So that'll be up here in just a moment. Oh, shit. I forgot about John Ryder. We'll put him in there. All right, so the poll is up. These are all 168ers, by the way. I'm keeping it 168. I know a lot of people are saying they would like to see Plant in the Charlos and stuff like that. I got to be honest with you, and I don't know what Stormy and K-Rod, what you guys think about it, but I don't know what the hell the Charlos are trying to do. They're all over the damn place. They're at 160. They want Canelo. They want this, that. But, I mean, first off, one of those Charlo brothers, they need to take care of Castaño. I'll tell you that. They need to go take care of that business. Now, I mean, stylistically, would I like to see Plant in one of the Charlos? Yeah, sure. But they're at 160 right now. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So, in the poll, it's 168 pounders, and Caleb is not going to go down. So that means the Charlos would have to move up, which they've been hinting at, and I'm putting air quotes on that. They've been hinting on moving up. And so, yeah, it's 168 pounders. Caleb's not going to go up or down. I think he's going to stay at 168. I think his ultimate goal is try to recapture another title. So with that being said, make sure you guys vote. This vote should be popping right now on who you guys think Caleb Plant should fight next. Now, let's say theoretically, okay, that Benavidez wins coming up this weekend. Then he fights Canelo. In between that time, if Plant makes a return and fights Billy Joe Saunders, Anthony Durrell, John Ryder, I misspelled it in the poll. Apologies. But if Plant wins convincingly against one of those 3 guys, does he deserve to fight the winner of Canelo Benavidez and have another shot at the title? Now, of course, it's not a guarantee that Benavidez and Canelo is going to fight. That's the speculation. So if we follow that speculation, does Plant deserve a rematch against the winner of Benavidez and Canelo, given he wins convincingly and looks good against somebody like Billy Joe, Anthony Durrell, John Ryder, or maybe even Danny Jacobs if he comes back in, or maybe a David Lemieux if he's still
Jesse Hart.
Any of these guys. Okay. Yeah, if he looks good, does he deserve the rematch against the winner of Canelo, presumably, and Benavidez? Now, to kind of throw a monkey wrench in it, let's say that Benavidez and Canelo doesn't match up. Maybe Canelo decides last minute, you know what, I'm going to go up to cruiserweight. So for me, that question is easy for me. If Benavidez and Canelo isn't made, it should be Benavidez and Plant. Right off the top. Then the winner of that should be, waiting to see what Canelo does with the belts. Rather he vacates it or whatever the case is. And I know a lot of people may think, oh, well, Divine, don't you think he should get like a fight under his belt? He just lost before he fights Benavidez. If it was an immediate rematch to Canelo, then I would say yes. Go and get a victory first. Get your confidence back up before you go back in there against Canelo. But against Benavidez, in my opinion, I think he can fight him in his next fight because styles make fights. And he would have to if Benavidez punches really hard, but he doesn't move like Canelo. He doesn't have head movement like Canelo. I don't think he has a ring IQ like Canelo. And Plant is way more athletic. The problem with that situation is that I know and I'm pretty confident that Benavidez can last 12 rounds. Plant has to prove it to me, and he hasn't done a good job of proving to me that he can fight hard for 12 rounds. And I know he beat Usataki, great win, got the belt, and I told everybody on H Money yesterday, y'all keep shitting on people about the belts and whatnot, okay, and shitting on Devin Haney because, he's a paper champ. But look, Plant won a belt. He beat somebody and took a belt. Give him his credit. But case in point, he hasn't shown that he can last these 12 rounds, man. And at this level, if you can't fight 12 rounds, you're going to be in deep shit. You know what I'm saying, Stormy?
Absolutely.
You're going to be in deep shit. Yeah, hey, Stormy, I know you remember Hearns and Hagler, right?
Right.
And Hearns came out there like a turbine from hell, throwing all combinations and shit, trying to knock Hagler out, right? And Hagler, he was throwing back too. But Hearns put so much energy in trying to knock out Hagler early, and Hagler got him, man. Hagler got him. And it's like, that's what I see from Plant. He comes out he came out like Wilder did in the third fight against Fury. Putting his whole, just coming out quick and just trying to put too much energy. The thing is like, if you're a boxer, right, you're automatic. And I've learned this when I boxed when I was younger, and even now when I do sparring and stuff, I still have the same problem. Because I move a lot. I don't like to stay in the pocket. I don't like to be like punch to the body and punch to the face. It's not, I don't like that shit. I like to move, you know what I mean? But that makes you tired, man. And that's one thing that Floyd never got credit for, was his stamina, was his endurance. The man is moving around constantly, moving from the waist. Anytime you're moving at the waist, people, your core is engaged. Your core is not just your six-pack. Your core is your entire core that goes into your lower back. You are burning all of those muscles.
Do you remember those sit-ups that Floyd used to do where he laid down on the floor, got up and stood up, and then go back down to the floor and get up and stand up? Who else you see doing that?
Not too many people.
Exactly. That's core. That's core. Because it's
core.
all lower body beneath your waist strength doing that. And that's not an easy sit-up to do. It's not an easy sit-up to do at all.
Shit. I was just doing leg lifts from the damn pull-up bar the other day, strict, toes all the way up to the bar with some weights on my ankles. I was like, damn. People can do sit-ups all day long. But you got to stretch that core out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And people don't understand. It's not, you see a guy at the six-pack, that don't mean nothing. How strong is that lower back? That lower back got to be strong and fit. right? So Floyd never really got credit. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's a boxing genius and defensive genius." Yeah, he was. He, one of the best to ever do it. But the dude was in fight shape every time. The dude could have went 15, 20 rounds.
Hey, Divine.
Yes, sir.
Don't you know how I mentioned that I actually spoke with Tony Marshall in the past, like when I used to go to the Albany Boxing Gym here on Quail Street?
Yeah, I think you mentioned something. Yeah.
Yeah, but Tony pretty much told me that the same thing, but just in like a different way of like how you basically stay in shape for fights. He told me that even if you're not like the most skilled fighter, but you have like the best conditioning and endurance, 9 times out of 10, you can beat that fighter that does have all the skills in the world, but if they don't have that conditioning and endurance, they're not going to keep up with you. So, he basically told me that if you have that behind like your arsenal and you're able to keep going into those later championship level rounds, that's going to break somebody down. And if they don't have that, like lower body core to help their endurance, then mentally and physically, they're going to break down and possibly get knocked out or just brutally gas out.
Yeah.
So I just truly believe that's pretty much like the main problem with like a lot of boxers that don't want to put those extra hard hours in to like basically prepare themselves better for those type of fights.
And what did Mayweather say, man? And all those 24/7s and shit. He said, "While y'all are sleeping, I'm running. When y'all relaxing, I'm working. I want it more than you do." And I noticed something in the little plant thing they had going on. He had his own little YouTube channel. PBC was doing something for him. And I heard his trainer say to Plant, "Oh, we don't got to get ready because we stay ready." Really? I saw you got burned out.
Listen, let me
You
tell
got
you.
burned out.
Let me tell you something. There's a few ways to, you know, drive home the point of what we're talking about right now. One is this: everybody out there knows the martial artist, R.I.P. to him, Bruce Lee, the movie star martial artist. One of his philosophies were when it comes to conditioning for an individual, he said, too much time is devoted for a athlete to learn the sport that he's participating in, like, basketball, football, whatever, even martial arts. Too much time is given to the devotion of the development of in the sport you're participating in. Not enough time is implemented to the individual participating in the sport. See, what that means is that if you are right, ripped, and ready, raring to go, it doesn't matter what you do. You've conditioned yourself to be prepped. So that's basically the essence of that. The other thing that I wanted to say about conditioning and in Plant's case here was the factor that it was his first big fight. And no matter what anybody says, when you're in a situation like that and you're under those big lights and big audiences and everything, and the biggest opponent in your division right across the ring from you facing you that night, you can lose it all early on. You can lose it. And what I mean by saying lose it, that the spectacle, the event can get to you. That'll drain your energy faster than you throwing punches, because it can all come out of you like, man, I gotta win. I got, my family watching, millions around the world, the cameras. You never know how that can affect a person psychologically, and the stamina can be burned up just like that. 3 rounds will feel like 6 or 7 rounds. But as I stated before, if you're in proper condition, the second win does come. Some guys get a third win, you know, but it's about being conditioned psychologically as well. Because at some point you have to set those things aside, your anxiety, your fear, or whatever, to get the job done.
Very good breakdown. Yeah. I mean, I think Stormy, you and I, we can talk about this all day long and never get tired. But
Absolutely. I didn't realize how late it is.
Yeah,
I need to go to
man.
bed.
That's what happens, man. That's what happens. But like the point I was trying to get at is, even to this day, when I spar and stuff, I get tired, man, and that's why I like sparring Brian Macy, because he just knows how to save his damn energy, bro. I'm like, how you not get tired? And you know what it is? He told me, and it made sense. And Brian was a national champion back in the day, and he told me that the more you think, the more tired you get, as in your body gets tense. Boxing is all about being fluid, being relaxed, and being confident. When you tense up, you get tired. Your mind gets tired, right? And it's like when we spar, he never really hits me hard. I mean, we're sparring, and sometimes we go a little bit hard, but I can tell like he's not putting everything behind it. Whereas me, like I'll be times I try to get a big hard body shot on him because I want to get a reaction from him. And sometimes I do, but he knows how to weather it. He knows how to absorb it. And I can tell he kind of cringes a little bit, but he stays relaxed. And we get into like the 4th, 5th round, and I'm like huffing and puffing and shit like that, And granted, I'm not fucking 21 anymore, but still, he just knows how to stay relaxed and flow. You know what I mean? And when you're a mover, you're burning a lot more energy compared to a guy like Canelo, right? Who's just bobbing and weaving, staying relaxed, blocking. He'll get hit some shots, but, he's conservative. The conservative fighter, the marathon type fighter, who knows how to put power punches in. And Floyd did that too. Floyd would jab, and then he knew, sharp, straight right hand to the body, sharp, straight right hand to the head, check left hook. But you never see Floyd unload combinations on people.
And something else you didn't see from Floyd? I'm glad you said that, because I want to say this and put it out there so people understand him in a different way technically. Floyd mastered taking the steam off of punches to make sure that they score, and he didn't waste a lot of punches. Did you hear what I said?
Mm-hmm. He didn't waste punches.
He didn't waste a lot of punches.
Most accurate puncher of all time, probably.
His punches would land. If they didn't land, they nearly land, and it's all within the framework of giving the opponent something to worry about. And he knew how to throw shots to get respect. He may have learned that from Pernell Whitaker, because he did some sparring with Sweet Pea group coming up. Mm-hmm. Sweet Pea was that way. He could knock you out, but he didn't want to knock you out. Sweet Pea liked to punish you with his boxing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
And that's worse than a Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson want to get rid of you quick because he don't have stamina to go 12. Mike Tyson didn't like going the distance, so he tried to get it all done early on. But Sweet Pea, the guy who wants to take you all the way to the 12th round and making sure that you didn't win a round through the whole process, that's kind of like a sadist punishing you,
yes, sir.
And winning every round and everything, and knowing you can't do nothing about it. And he come out and smile at you and pop that jab in your face again and pop you in the belly, and you swinging at him and he's slipping and moving, and you got to start all over again. because he turned you in a circle off of your balance and everything. That's masterful stuff. And Floyd, he mastered that. Most people think about him doing a shoulder roll or whatever, but Floyd kept his guard up most of the time. Most of the time. You just recall him because he knew how to stop punches. He knew how to stop a punch before it gets to where it's supposed to go. He knew how to knock punches down. I seen people try to punch Floyd in the body, and his backhand, his right hand, he knock your punch down like that. You know, it's like that's old school stuff. You don't see these guys using that.
His reflexes were just insane. I mean, Floyd had just some of the most insane reflexes that I've ever seen. You know, defensively and offensively as well. The pull counter was something that he perfected.
That jab to the belly. That jab to the belly. And you know what's funny about that? Like, you see fighters doing it now, right? I credited Jermell Charlo when he stopped what's his name? With the body shot, the punch to the belly or the solar plexus or whatever, when he got his belt off of him. Help me out. What's his name? Can't think of Banana.
Jason Rosario.
Yeah, they call him, his nickname Banana, Jason Rosario. And that punch, when you're boxing and you realize, like, this is what you do. You're studying your opponent. I told you, you gather the data. You know, guys punch at you, they breathe out, right? So Floyd, he's in there with you, and he's jabbing with you and letting you jab at him. And, you know, when you jab, you breathe out, you exhale, right? Well, Floyd will stick a jab right in the pit of your stomach right after you do that. Remember, I talked about Crawford knocking out Ndangu with that body shot. Floyd would do that to you, and you need a few seconds to recover from that because you just exhaled. It pushes more wind out of your body than what you normally exhale. So that gives him several seconds to move around or do something and set you up all over again. You see how this is the sweet science? It's like there is so much to break down. People just looking at the TV and saying, hit him, but they don't really know what they're looking at. Because there is a science to this. There's a lot going on. And when you know these things, you studying in the gym, you're supposed to understand that. Why he punch him in the body like that and they got that kind of effect? That's because the guy is wound up tight and everything. And then when he exhale and you hit him after he exhale, he ain't got nothing for, like I said, 25 seconds or more, depending on what type of shape he's in. So it's really a science. But when you talk about a guy who can minimize his output by being more effective with what lands, that's a tough fighter to beat. And right now, that's Canelo, because he has become that type of dominant factor because the other guys don't put in the work to raise their game to his level. You see? At the end of the day, no one is working like he's working to get the results that he's got. Think about it. Even the Charlo, Jamal, sitting up there praising Canelo. Oh, yeah, he's really the king of boxing. You know what? Okay, well, why don't you go dethrone him? You're so busy crediting him and praising him. Who are you? Why should we pay attention to you? You're telling us to look over there, so we're looking at him. And then you get mad because we've turned our head. Go sit your butt down somewhere and learn something about boxing.
And that's exactly why we count punches that go to the body, because they mean something. Okay, and that includes the jab to the body. All right, you just don't say, that doesn't hurt, so we don't count it. What did Emmanuel Stewart used to say? He used to say that jab to the body is like a syringe. I think it was George Foreman. I think George Foreman used to say that on HBO. He say that jab to the body is like a syringe. It's poking you.
Drawing your blood. Yep. It's taking something out of you.
What does Teddy Atlas say? You're putting water in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Keep putting water in the basement, baby, and you just slow down, especially against a mover like Plant. Keep those legs from moving. Guess what? You're going to stop those legs from moving. Now you're forcing him to stand in front of you. What do you think Julio Cesar Chavez did to boxers? Straight to the body. Try to slow him down.
Chavez was one of the best body punchers, you know, in his weight divisions that he fought in, and also Mike McCallum, guys like that. It's like getting that body work in there, man. Those guys were really special. And another
Yep.
thing about putting in the body work, you have to be able to take a shot. Because a lot of times you might catch something while you're in close like that. So you have to be able to take a shot, or at least not be afraid of contact. That's another story right there, Divine, about the number of fighters out here today who are afraid of contact. Oh, they don't mind going out there blasting other people out and everything and running numbers on them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But when it start coming back, oh, they looking for the heels then. So it's like,
yep. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. So glad. Because that's exactly why I didn't pursue something more in boxing. Because I don't like getting hit. And if you don't like getting hit, you ain't going to go very far. You might be more athletic than some guy and be able to move and jab and be quicker. And you might get away with that for a while. But eventually, you're going to get stuck in that phantom zone. There's no escape. And you get a guy who can take your hand speed and block your punches, and he's coming after you, and he's trying to hurt you. He's trying to take your head off. And everything you throw, it don't matter. And so that's why I was like, all right, I'm just going to go play something else. You know, this is, you don't play boxing. You don't play it. I said it before. This is, in my opinion, I know the UFC guys, MMA guys don't agree with me, but this is the toughest sport in the world. Period.
Man, go back and look at that fight between Jaron Ennis and Thomas Delorme, because it's so funny in hindsight, but when you look at it, watch landing those jabs on Delorme, and Delorme wasn't moving his head. I mean, you hit me stiff with a jab once, okay? Next time I'm going to be trying to anticipate it so I can block it, move my head, knock it down, catch it or something. You understand?
Facts.
Delorme was taking them. And it was almost as if Jaron say, damn, this fool ain't going to move his head. Okay, pop, pop, pop. And then when the guy finally bent over, whap.
Bam. Beautiful timing.
Go back and watch it. I mean,
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know how you do video breakdowns. You could do a video breakdown on that 1 round fight. That can be a whole stream for you, because it's the fact that, okay, I can touch this guy whenever I want to, but I can drop the bomb on him because he ain't moving when I want to. That's something right there. Because if Delorme had moved his head or even stepped back out of the action or something, he could have lasted more time. But because he didn't, and I don't know if it was because it was so fast, a little faster, the timing of it was too much for him. But that's also why you pick your damn hands up. Look at where Delorme's hands were when he was getting hit with those jabs.
Did you tell Wilder that too?
Huh?
Did you tell Wilder that too?
I said the same thing. I was like, you remember the stream? I was talking about that. Dude,
I remember you screaming, pick your damn hands.
why are your hands out here when go look at Lennox Lewis knocking out Hasim Rahman for holding his hands out like this. He created a bridge from the end of his arm to his chin, And all
Yep.
Lennox had to do was reach around those punches. It was one of the most beautiful left-right combinations, and the sound that it made when it hit his head, it was ridiculous. It sounded like a
Woo-wee.
boom, you know.
Yep.
And Rockman
And
was out.
Stormy, like I had a coach back in the day, right? I was fighting this kid, and he was whooping my ass. And I'll go back into the corner, and I was sitting on the stool, I was kind of complaining a little bit. And my coach told me, he said, I don't give a damn what you do, but you better keep your damn hands up. If I see you drop your hands one more time, I'm going to call the fight. And I was like, no, coach, don't do that. Don't do that. I want to fight to the end. And keep your damn hands up then. I don't
Yep.
care what you do. You keep your hands up.
Dude.
And you learn that when you're young. You know what I'm saying? You learn that when you're young, that you got to keep your hands up. When you get tired, you got to keep your hands up, because that you get hurt, man. I'm telling you, you get hurt.
Did you see that fight on the undercard when that dude got knocked out?
Ooh, that was nasty.
Man. Huh?
That was nasty. Yep. I saw
Yeah.
it.
What were they, super middleweights or something?
I think so.
The guy, when he got knocked out, that right hand that put him away at the end, his chin was up here like this. His hands were that like down by his knees. He got, dude,
Yep.
it looked like he
Folded
got
up
killed.
like he folded up like a lawn chair.
Dude, it was ridiculous.
Listen, people, your head is not made to be hit like that.
Not at all.
And so your brain is in desperation mode. It's in alert mode when your brain smashes up against your skull like that. If y'all haven't seen the movie Concussion with Will Smith, where he talks about American football players getting brain damage, y'all go watch that movie, man. How the brain moves around inside the skull. It's not made to do like that. So your brain says fight or flight. Basically, you got no choice. But when you fight, that's you overcoming instinct, because your instinct is get the hell out of the way.
Right.
Right? So these fighters who are tough, that go like the Jake LaMotta's of the world, they defied instinct. They had heart, that's instinct, but I'm saying like your human instinct to protect yourself. And yeah, genetically speaking, some guys have thicker skulls, bigger necks, and things like that. I believe you're born with the chin. Some guys can just get punched, man. They just got they're born with punch resistance for whatever reason. Just like you're born with power, I believe. You can develop power. You can get better at punching. But some guys, like George Foreman, he came out of the womb probably punching the doctor in the face. The dude was just born with power. So, I mean, there's just certain things that you're just born with and stuff like that. But, I had this thing where I would get caught with my chin up in the air. And it's a thing about boxing where you don't mean to do it. It's just you do it because you're thinking about something else. It's a chess match, right? You're thinking, I'm gonna put the jab right here. I'm gonna wait for the right hand. Meantime, you forgot where your hands are at. You forgot where your defense is at. Defense first, offense second. That's why Mayweather was great. It was always defense first. Protecting myself first, and then I make you pay. Right? And Plant has those abilities. Plant does. Plant makes everybody Plant fights, he makes a miss, and sometimes makes them miss badly. But the difference is to sustain it over a long period of time. So when everything's said and done, Plant goes back to the drawing board, and they're going to look at the first 5 rounds, and they're going to say, man, we did a lot of stuff good. You can tell what the Plant game plan was. You can tell, right? Shoulder roll, right hand. Jab, jab, jab to the body, control range, right? Great game plan. Couldn't stick to it. Why? Lost his legs. Why did he lose his legs? Expending too much energy in the clinch against a shorter, stouter fighter who's lower to the floor, who's going to pull on your arms. And when you got a tall frame, you're pulling your body forward, you're burning that waistline. Canelo, all he's got to do is pull your trunk down. You're burning in energy. Then the body shots, they took a toll. So all those things, right? So when you go back and look at the tape, you're like, oh shit, okay, damn. Let's first work on our stamina and our endurance to build our legs to withstand war, especially against a guy like Canelo. Canelo, he doesn't, Canelo, he's a prideful dude, man. You think he's just gonna be like, oh, he's tough to hit, so I'm gonna give up? Hell no.
You got a great
Right?
question in the chat there from El Jaffe. He says, why do you guys think Chavez couldn't get to Sweet Pea? You want to offer your thoughts on that? I know why.
Sweet Pea, man, he was just so good at not just his defense, but masquerading certain things. He's kind of like a wizard, man. He show you something to make you think it's available, and he pulls out at the right time and puts you off position. See, a guy like Chavez, and I like him a lot. I like Chavez. He's great for the sport, great for the history of the sport. And I like him a lot. But he's great going. I mean, he's a go forward fighter. So when you fight a guy like Chavez, you got two choices. Number one, you try to make him go backwards, but that's tough to do when you're going up against a guy who has no problem going to toe. If you move forward and he just stops, okay, try to push me back. I'm going to your body. What are you going to do about it? Right? So you can try to outmuscle him, which is risky, or you got to make him lose his momentum. So when he comes forward and trying to land those big body shots, you showing him the target, you pull out, pivot across, pop, pop, combination. And you continue. It's kind of like the bull and matador. And not Willie Pep, I mentioned Willie Pep because he was good at this too. But Pernell Whitaker, they perfected the bull matador style. Waving the cape, taking the cape out, pop, pop. Right? And if he did get stuck, he's locked in. Protect. That whole body's protected. But he doesn't stay there like Plant stayed there. Like Mayweather. They don't stay there. They get out. You notice what Mayweather used to do? He'll get into the Philly shell in the middle of the ring, and these guys are throwing combinations, right? He's deflecting, blocking, and then he'll pull back. Boom, right hand. He'll pull back, create distance. And when you do that, the fighter who's working on the inside, they lunge forward because they see you go back. So they come forward. Meanwhile, right hand coming down the pipe. That's something that Whitaker and Mayweather did to perfection. And it looks easy from the outside. Oh, that won't happen to me.
Well, I'll tell you my take on that particular question. Sweet Pea, and this was Doc. It's funny that question is asked because that's what my stream was about this evening. And I'll tell you, Divine, when I do my email to you, they took it down. But
Wow.
I was talking about the Sweet Pea and Whitaker fight, but Sweet Pea was a very, very good body puncher, and
He was.
Buddy McGirt can attest to that, and he did. It's on YouTube. He did a particular interview where he was sitting down in the gym, and they were asking him about he and Sweet Pea, and he said, "Man, that guy hit to the body." He's like, "I've never been hit to the body like Sweet Pea hit me. He threw the punches the correct way with the correct, technique, snap, and everything, and he got tremendous results out of it." So when you ask why wasn't Chavez able to get to him, tracking him down, catching some of those jabs and everything on the way in, some of those left hands, they were straight and accurate and sharp punches hurt you almost more than just heavy punches because they stun you. Heavy punches can put you down and everything, but a sharp punch, it's a different type of a feeling.
And sharp punches can cut you.
Yeah, and when Whitaker got within a certain range of Pernell Whitaker did the body work that was necessary that he could slow him down just a bit, and think about coming in there again without taking that belly shot or that liver shot or that shot to the ribs. Over 12 rounds, that does a job on you. It does a number on you because, especially if you're the guy that's trying to pursue. Remember, people got the impression that Sweepy was running away from Chavez, but he wasn't. He'd take a couple of job steps back to reset, and he kept him turning in the center of the ring the entire fight. Chavez never got Sweepy up against the ropes and stuff like that and
Yep.
bang him like he did a lot of guys. And then when
Yep.
Sweepy got ready to tie him up, he would lock him up good and tight like you're supposed to, walk him out or walk him in a circle, that counterclockwise that I talked about, until the referee sets him. And then when the referee breaks him, Sweepy is behind the ref, buying a few extra seconds of time, and then they resume. It's like a clinic on how to control the action. They had great contrasting styles, the boxer and the slugger. But what was interesting was Chavez could box, but he didn't like the box. He wanted to break people down. He would have been better off trying to box with Sweet Pea because then he can set something up. But he was so busy trying to pursue and get at him, he turned himself into a target for Sweet Pea, for what Sweet Pea does best. And their fight would have been even more action-packed if Sweet Pea was an orthodox fighter. The Southpaw just threw Chavez off quite a bit, but had he been an orthodox fighter, you would have seen something even better. That's why Chavez's fight with Frankie Randall was so good, because Frankie Randall was a decent boxer, but he had a big right hand, and Chavez could take a punch. So it's like that made for a really good dynamic because Chavez wasn't worried about his punch. And then, boop, oh, lo and behold, Frankie Randall's the first one to drop Chavez late in that fight that they had, their first fight. So, but yes, that's why he couldn't get at Sweet Pea, because Sweet Pea was a better body puncher than people knew.
Well, let me. Thank you. Always love talking boxing, man. Well, let me get to the poll real quick. I put a poll up, says who should Caleb Plant fight next? 55% say Benavidez. 19% says Billy Joe Saunders. 21% says Anthony Durrell. And then only 5% said John Ryder, which I believe he's a mandatory for one of the belts, maybe the WBA. I'm not sure. John Ryder over there in England
he's the one
is a mandatory.
He's the one that Plant should fight.
Yeah, it's just to get the confidence up, and you want to fight somebody that has credibility. You don't want to fight some journeyman or some tomato can. You want to fight someone that first off, that the promoters can sell. I mean, because if they can't sell it, then it's hard to make. And then somebody that has a little bit of credibility and to boost your confidence, get your confidence back up, and work on the things that you didn't do well against Canelo, and it's not like a glaring, like, oh my God, he was so outclassed, like he'll never be at that level again. No, it's small things, but those small things is why he got caught in that 11th round.
Yeah.
And let's just keep it real. Nobody picking for Canelo thought it was going to go that far. Even if it was like guys who said, oh, it might be like 8, 9, 10. In reality, they're just betting that way because they knew that Plant had a chance to take it deep. That's facts. Otherwise, they would have predicted.
Yeah,
they would have predicted something else.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say I felt that it was going to be something late. Canelo winning. I almost wanted to call him Chavez, but Canelo. I saw him winning late. I was pulling for Plant. I was pulling for him. But when I did my breakdown, I ended up saying that I expect, you know, Canelo to come out on top, you know, late rounds, because the thing is, Plant fades first time on that type of stage
Yeah.
in against the guy who's supposed to be the man in the division. Just a lot of things that he would have to overcome.
Yeah, but
Just
he can fix. If this is a situation where Plant's not quick enough, he doesn't have enough skill, he's not athletic enough, he doesn't have ring IQ or anything like that. But that's not the case. Like the fact that you burned out and you couldn't stick to the game plan, that's a stamina / endurance issue. You can fix that. You're 29
yeah,
years old. You're in the
yeah.
prime of your life. Caleb Plant is still he's still young. He's literally in his prime. Like when I was 29, 30 years old, I thought I was on the top of the world. I can run through walls.
But you know what he did not do though? Throughout the entire fight, at no point he didn't go after Canelo. See, that's the thing that let me know that conversation that took place in that round that you played earlier. That's what lets me know that he was not sure of himself. He didn't feel like he was on that level. He's asking
Right.
those questions. You're supposed to prove you're on that level. You're supposed to say, "Here I am, sucker, coming. You know, I'm coming at you." And at no
Yep.
point through that fight did he attack Canelo to give him. And guess what? None of Canelo's last opponents that we can name outside of maybe Cotto, maybe going back to then, because Cotto did try him a few times.
Yeah.
But
Cotto put combinations on him.
yeah, but you could say since then, because no one has really gone after him at some point in the fight like they're a dominant guy. You know, I got to show him I'm the man. That doesn't mean you got to go down and get into a slugfest, but you have to go in there and show the person that you're there to be not only competitive, you're trying to kick his butt. You're trying to prevail, come out on top, you
Yeah.
know? And one of the things I used to love about Evander Holyfield when he was at a cruiserweight and then coming on up into heavyweight was he and his corner used to have communication signals. When it was 30 seconds to go in the round, regardless of what's happening in the round, Lou Duva would yell out, "Real deal, real deal." And Evander would get to a point where he's trying to score more shots with 30 seconds to go. You're picking up that energy. And it's like, you know, when you're training in the gym and you're about to wind down from your bag work and you get 30 seconds before the end of the round and they say 30 seconds and you do that bag drill where you just let your hands go, let your hands go, let your hands go till the timer sounds. When they would yell real deal for Evander, that's what he would do. Um, Sugar Ray Leonard did it with Angelo Dundee. He would yell something specific out at Sugar Ray Leonard, depending on what fight it was and what they were doing. He would yell, and Sugar Ray Leonard would do his thing. He did it against Hagler. He did it against Benavidez. Not Benavidez. Benitez, and you know he just picked it up. You know, and that's what it is. I would have loved Caleb Plant to have done something like that in the fight where they yell out at him, you know, it's time, and that's 30 seconds to go, and he started letting his hands go or something, but he didn't do any of those things.
Yeah. And you were talking about earlier about the second wind, like even while they're losing the fight against Fury in that 10th round, he found a second wind in the last bit of that round and actually buckled Fury. He found a second wind. And yeah, Caleb really didn't have that. I want to address this comment here by Chocolate Bacon. The real reason Caleb Plant got tired was because Canelo's shots broke him down. He was a beaten man. I I would say I halfway agree with you. And when you come in here and say things like this, come on guys, be real, then I already know what time it is. You must have came in here late. I've been sitting here, well, me and everyone on the panel for the most part, has been giving Canelo credit. So, look, yes, the body shots in particular did slow down Plant, for sure. For sure. But to sit up here and be like, Plant never had a chance and, Canelo's this Superman or whatever, like, you just came to the wrong place, bro. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I give Canelo credit. Did a great job as a champion, what he's supposed to do. He was reserved. He was conservative with his punches. He saved his energy. He landed the heavy shots to the body that he needed to do to go into the later rounds, and he finished Caleb Plant. Period. End of story. If you want any more credit than that, then you came to the wrong place.
Hey, Divine.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know, thank you for having me on your show. But I'm gonna get up out of here.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, like another time that I could hop back on and do this once again.
Always good to have you, man. Sometimes you get a little quiet, bro, but I understand. You're more like reserved nature. You're a nice guy.
Yeah.
Until a Canelo fan comes in here and pisses you off, and then
It's go time.
Yeah, for sure, man. But look,
K-Rod, just know that this coming Sunday, the call-in show will return. I just had this past weekend, so in the other weekend, that pinched nerve was getting to me, but I'm feeling a lot better. So this coming Sunday, the call-in will be back, and you can call in.
Yeah, most definitely, Stormy. I'll be there.
Always good to have you, man. Keep doing your thing, bro. And I know you're a little bit bummed that Caleb Plant lost, man. But to be honest with you, we should be proud of him, and he'll be back.
And not only that, let me say this too. While K-Rod is still on here, being a Caleb Plant supporter, ask of the guys that you support to do their best, to bring their best. I don't know that Caleb brought his best. He's talented. And you have to demand that for him and to him, that he understand that for himself. Because these guys listen to us. They be out there. Some of them might even have those accounts and stuff like that. And I think that when he was at that press conference where they had the tussle and everything, the things he was saying at that press conference come from a lot of information that we put out. You understand? So he understands that. And this is what we're talking about. But we should all, when you support a fighter in particular, but you support the sport more, you should ask the best of these guys. I've said it twice in this show that since I've been on here, that Canelo has improved since he fought Mayweather, but not that much. But he's better than the other guys, his contemporaries, because he does things that they don't do and aren't willing to do. You have to be willing to break yourself in the gym with your disciplines and things of that nature to be the best. A lot of these guys aren't trying to be the best. They're just trying to be famous. Okay? Which is two different things.
And let me say this too, K-Rod, for the record. I know you were trying to get out of here, but I do believe that Caleb Plant was confident, and I believe that, his demeanor and everything leading up to the fight was real. I don't think he was worried. I thought that he thought that his skills will be enough to pull the upset. That is something that I didn't see from other opponents that he's fought. I thought other opponents like Billy Joe and Caleb Smith and these other guys, they're very subdued. They're kind of like, I want to say scared, but it's like they're up against Canelo kind of thing. They're up against the big bad wolf. And, Plant came out, and you can see in the early rounds that he did stick to his guns. He came in jabbing and, showing his confidence. But somewhere along the fight, I do believe that, he was a little bit humbled, man. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when we say these type of things, it is out of love, and we want the best out of Caleb Plant. And Stormy's right, man. It might not be Caleb Plant, but shit, it can be his brother, it can be his trainer, it can be his wife, whoever listened to this. And the fact of the matter is that we love him. We want to see the best out of him, and that's the only thing that I can say. And I do believe that this is something where, sometimes fighters have to go through this. They have to go through this kind of weird situation where they think they're, so it's just about being humbled, basically, right? Is that you think you're at the pinnacle and you just get knocked down a little notch, but then you know what it takes to be at that level, to get those belts and all those different things. You know what I mean? And that's just all. That's all it is. And he's got all the talent in the world, and boxing doesn't like his style. They don't like his style, K-Rod. I'm just keeping it real. They don't like his style. So do you know what Caleb Plant has to do? He's got to keep his style, but then he's got to turn it up a few notches. And he's got to force people to respect his ability. Before it was like, oh, he's pretty slick. Like when he was going up and coming up and he got his belt, people are like, oh, yeah, he's quick, he's slick, he's this, that, and whatever. People are like, okay. But as soon as he went up against, like Stormy says, a fan favorite, right? The guy, the man. They don't like his style anymore. They don't want nothing to do with that style. So he's learned that now. He's seen the judges' scorecards too, let me tell you. He's seen it. He's like, damn, they had me down like that? They had me down 8-2? So what does that mean, K-Rod? That means he's learned now the system and how it is. So when he comes back, he got to turn it up. Put a little pop behind his punches now. Sit down on his punches. Use his hand speed to his advantage. Hurt people. Then people say, oh, shit, not only does he have this slick style, but now he's hurting people. You know what I mean? So that's just my overall thoughts on that. And, that's for all the Caleb Plant supporters out there. Somebody get this guy Chocolate Bacon out of here, man. I already gave him a chance. See, that's the problem. You don't get up here and you don't hang from Canelo's nuts. Go somewhere else with that shit, man. Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly, exactly. And you just got machine gunned the fuck out of here. So, K-Rod, always a pleasure to have you a part of the panel, man. It's always good to have a conversation with you. It's good to talk with level-minded and honest-spirited people.
I appreciate it, and I'll definitely chop it up again. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, sir. Get some sleep.
Yeah. Have a good night, y'all.
I see Stormy starting to doze off a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting to be
it's getting late for you
time.
guys.
Yeah. But I thank you also for bringing me on. My stream got jacked up this evening, but I saw that you were on and I wanted to come over and see what you were talking about. And I enjoyed the conversation because, again, you and we've already made that connection that we can understand each other, where we come from with our philosophies on the sport. We break things down from the inside out. And it's always a pleasure to hold conversation and hold court with people who are, of that ilk. So, and I respect what you do.
I appreciate that, Stormy. I try my very, very hardest to keep it boxing as much as I possibly can. As you can tell, you and I probably absorbed most of the time tonight, because when we get talking about boxing, time doesn't matter anymore, and it's what I really truly enjoy. And sometimes it's not easy, people. It's not easy. Like when Stormy and I were one of the biggest Wilder supporters out here. And when he lost, it's not easy to come out and say, man, Wilder needs to improve this, that, or whatever. But we got to keep it consistent and honest. When AJ got pieced up by Usyk, we're keeping it real.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And as much as we love Wilder and as much as we love Plant and we love these guys, man, at the end of the day, Plant got knocked out. Plant got knocked out. That's not the judges had some bogus scorecards in my opinion, but Plant got knocked out. That's on Plant.
Yep.
On Wilder too. So, you know, that it's part of that tough love type situation. I wouldn't be. Let me put this in perspective. And I know, Stormy, you got kids and you've raised your kids beautifully. I know you have. One thing my dad did, and I don't agree with a lot of shit that he did, but one thing that I give thanks to is when I was playing sports, he never sugarcoated nothing. If I played great, he said, "Hey, son, great job." If I played like shit, you need to step it up. You know what I mean? And because he kept it real with me and showed that tough love, it made me who I am today. There's something about having a bunch of yes men around you and people around you telling you and lying to you that you're doing great when you're not. You don't improve. I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at today, not even remotely close to who I am today and what I've accomplished, if I didn't have people come to me, pull me to the side and say, "Yo, look, bro, I love you, man, but, you know, these are your weaknesses. This is what you need to work on. If you do this better," you know what I mean? And yeah, we're men. We got pride. We got ego. We ain't trying to hear that shit. But you got to absorb it. You got to swallow it. And that's what makes you better. And I'm pretty sure any champion in any sport, football, basketball, whatever it is, Michael Jordan got cut from his high school varsity team. He got cut. He came back and became one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player of all time. Mayweather. Mayweather got robbed the gold medal in the Olympics. He could have quit. He could have said, "Man, forget this boxing stuff, man. They're going to do me like this. I'm going to go in the streets and hustle like my dad. I go back on the streets." What did he do? Came back and became Pretty Boy Floyd, Floyd Money Mayweather, 50-0. So that's what it takes sometimes, and that's what we're doing out here. And me, if Stormy and I have to do the heavy lifting, then I guess that's what we'll do, Stormy.
Yep. That's what it'll be. What it's gonna be.
Yep.
You know.
So next time, Storm, I'll come up on the panel. I was thinking too, Stormy, real quickly, that I'm going to start doing at least once a week some fantasy fights / talking about the fighters of old. I think I want to educate some of the younger subscribers on the channel, you know, let them know. Because what happens is we talk about modern day stuff or current events, and then I do it. I know you do it on your channel all the time, and I love it personally. But what we do is we start comparing to the old fighters. But what happens, I think we lose our audience sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're going to continue to try and navigate and just try to educate people, because a lot of my knowledge of the sport isn't just like, you know, one particular fighter or style, but it's like when, you know, the best thing that Costamato did for Tyson, the young Mike Tyson, 17 years old, was to sit him in the film room and show film of Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis and all these guys and said, "Take this piece, take that piece, take this piece, put it all together. What do you get? You get Iron Mike Tyson."
Absolutely. And that's a great segue into something that, because I was going to also hit you up on this, because this Thursday I'm doing another boxing raps at 8 p.m. Central Time. And I've already reached out to several people that I would like to have on the panel because of what the subject is. And I even Tay Jones, I reached out to Tay. He let me know if he's not working or whatever, because he's really boggled down with his business and everything now. But this show on Thursday, I'm talking about the uh, the next generation. Are they ready to step up? And that's a pretty darn good subject. And I wanted to have a panel of guys to talk about it because several of the people I'm reaching out to, including yourself, have looked at some of the up and comers. So for us to be able to have a discussion on that, I think is timely. The Three Wise Men is still on hiatus due to Kurt is battling, and we still have our prayers and thoughts out with him.
Definitely.
And we're not certain when he's going to be back. He's occasionally doing his slot with Blue Blood, and that's cool because that's where that was his original show. He and Blue Blood were partners on that show that they do every day, but his energy level is something, and just being able to be on there with Blue really makes him feel good because it's a so many people, and that keeps his spirits up and everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I just want to say to everybody who's aware of Kurt, please keep him in your prayers because he's going through a rough thing right now with his health. But that show Thursday, Divine, if you could be a part of that, I would really enjoy to have you on there because is the next generation ready to step up? I think that's a pretty darn good subject. And it might be a great lead off into what you want to do. And you can go from there and go right on into the, like you were saying, having a show on that. And
shoot me an email send me a link. And if I can make it, then obviously I can just click the link and jump in.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to do it on StreamYard this go around. So, last time I did it on OBS, but this time I think I'll do this particular show on StreamYard.
Okay, good. Well, look, we got Porter and Crawford coming up. So for all of you guys still listening, be on the lookout for my official prediction. You guys know how I get down. I don't go live when I do official predictions. I'll chop it up about fights on live streams. But when I drop my official prediction, I always do an upload. So make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Also, I'm going to do some sparring on Friday. I'm going to film it and drop it in here and entertain the supporters of me doing some sparring out here. And that'll be something nice for the loyal subscribers out here. I think you guys will enjoy that. And I'm going to do a little tour of the gym that I go to. I know a lot of people requested to see that. So that's something to look forward to here in the near future. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, of course, subscribe. Stay a part of the conversation. That's the only way you stay a part of the conversation. And to the haters, I appreciate you too. Thank you for the views. Every time you come in and view, you're giving me money. Thank you. Continue to give me money. I like money. I appreciate that. And for all of those who came in, make sure you hit that like button. Every like means a difference. And I'll be on here again soon, chopping it up with somebody or whatever. I know I haven't done Firestorm lately, but I'm going to get Firestorm rolling back up. I know you guys really, really like Firestorm, and I'll try to get it back maybe this weekend. But nonetheless, a lot of other good stuff coming up. So thanks for dropping by. And, of course, Stormy, thanks for joining in. You made the conversation a little bit more interesting tonight. And we'll be on together at some point very soon because why not? People enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, guys. You guys stay up. Be safe out there. Get some sleep. Stay healthy.
Everybody. Yeah.